sure that they don't get involved in any of those little accidents at the back of the pack. It's a day when you don't really expect very much to happen, but any day on the Tour de France is a dangerous day, because if you get involved in an accident like that, you can lose seconds, you can lose minutes. And let's not forget, Fabian Cancellara and Lance Armstrong are only separated still by that infinitesimal distance of 0.22 of a second.
Well, there's the harbours, and everybody wisely staying in today. It's tough outside and it's tough on the roads too. Lelay making his restart here in no hurry. He's hoping the peloton just takes it easy. I was wondering then if he banged his head, but I think he's just straightening his crash helmet. Looks a little bit shaken. Anyway, as the field pull themselves back up together, let's have a look at the Cadillac Ride of Your Life Sweepstakes. And don't forget to log on to versus.com/Ride of Your Life every day during the tour. It's a chance to win a trip for two to next year's Tour de France, and a Cervelo S2 bicycle. Also win a yellow jersey or polka dot, same as we use in the Cadillac performance predictions. That's the word you need today, RPM. Yes, there'll be plenty of that given out, I suspect, especially from the riders trying to catch up. Well, there's another problem here at the back. This is Lelay has stopped again here. So clearly his bike was not correctly adjusted. Umbrellas are up, everybody rushing for a photograph, and off he goes. Cars are still going past, so he should be okay to get back into the race convoy pretty easily. But I'm wondering if the Garmin Slipstream boys have made a key move today, with Miller getting away. A lot of people in the main field are going to be preoccupied. There's plenty of hills around here. And we're going to finish at the top of one today. Not a big one, but one that we have. There is Dave Miller on Team Garmin Slipstream, and it's a good cue for us to say that when we come back after the break, we'll tell you more about them.
The confidence level and experience is vastly greater than last year. I mean, you have guys going back to races that they've done now, and they know what it's like to be there.
My name is Wes Birmingham, Atlanta, Georgia.
Quaker State wants to know who has the world's worst commute.
We got construction on 75, 285, I-20, 30 miles, 2 hours. There's nothing I love about traffic. Nothing. Gotta be killing my engine.
A tough commute is tough on your engine, so get an oil that goes way beyond industry standards. Quaker State bonds to metal surfaces for 2 times better wear protection. Quaker State, real, durable oil.
Hi, may I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for car insurance that isn't going to break the bank.
You're in the right place. Only Progressive gives you the option to name your price. Here.
A price gun?
Mm-hmm.
So I tell you what I want to pay.
And we build you a policy to fit your budget.
That's cool. Feel so empowered.
Power to the people.
The option to name your price. New and only from Progressive. Call or click today.
It's coming this July. The Dark Side of Comic-Con. Only on FearNet.com.
There's nothing that excites me more.
Only on FearNet.com.
Tuesday, Versus delivers sports from soup.
Sports soup for everyone!
To nuts.
Oh, you're so fully.
Sports soup and Fanarchy. Tuesday night. Oh.
At First Bank, we do not clone nor endorse the cloning of U.S. currency. Would be against international law and a breach of banking ethics. The $50 you receive upon opening a free checking account is real money and has not been duplicated in a covert genetics laboratory. So at your earliest convenience, go to First Bank or visit us online and get $50 that has never been cloned.
What gets you out running, walking, or doing what you really love to do? Let's rewind. You have your own motivations for being out there. Enjoy every second. The Boulder Running Company has what you need to make your experience even better. From free video gait analysis to a huge casual shoe selection to apparel and accessories. The Boulder Running Company. Boulder, Denver, Colorado Springs, and online at boulderrunningcompany.com.
up in a family with my dad winning the Indy 500. You take some heat. There's really no sport like it. We're inches apart, wheel to wheel, and one touch, and you're gone. It's a crazy lifestyle. That's how it goes.
Well, let me remind you of stages you can't miss tomorrow, and it's a big one with Bicycle Magazine. It's the longest mountain stage in this year's tour. It's the stage to Arcalise and a real high climb here. It plays to the strengths of people like Cadell Evans, Lance Armstrong, and of course Alberto Contador. Visit bicycling.com for exclusive daily tour commentary and analysis from cycling's biggest names, interactive stage maps and more. There's the dreary scene at the finish here. Let's go back down to the race, which is still heading towards us here. We're sat in Barcelona. These riders are definitely in Spain, as they have been since the start this morning in Girona. We're just approaching that third category climb at the moment. 3 riders are clear: David Miller, Stefan Ogier and Sylvain Chavanel. 2 Frenchmen and a Scotsman looking for glory today. Well, it worked yesterday for little Tommy Voigtler. Will it work for one of these 3 today? The riders for the moment preoccupied. The rain has come, and judging by the finishing line, it won't be going anywhere for the rest of the day, which is rather sad for the riders. It's the first rain we've had since the Tour de France started in Monaco. In fact, it's the first time we haven't seen the blue sky, and it's very, very grey and dark today. Just winding the way up the mountain here. Narrow roads, Paul. It's a 3rd category climb, this, which makes it the 2nd least important. We have 2nd, 1st, and indeed ore category. They're the giant mountains. 1 ore category comes tomorrow when we finish in Andorra.
I just noticed Pipo Pozzata was sitting at the back end of the main field.
Been there all week.
I think later on, though, Phil, you will see him come to the front, because his team, which is Team Katusha, you can see the blue and white jersey there on the left-hand side. They've spent a fair amount of time at the front end of the main field, probably because they know this kind of finish is the sort of finish that would suit their man Pipo Pozzata, who just a week ago won himself the Italian National Championships. Although he's not endeared himself to the Italian National Federation, he's designed a jersey which they don't feel does honor to the title of national champion, and they've ordered him to have it redesigned and changed before the end of the tour. Not an easy job when you're riding around France.
No, but they've, shall we say, tried to pull a fast one there, and the Federation own the colours of the national jersey, and so I'm not surprised they've told him. And of course the Italian national jersey, which is the same as the flag of Italy, and it looks a lot nicer than... We can't really pick him out, to be honest, with the jersey he's designed. That's a sponsor motivation, I would think.
No, certainly, because if you check out the jersey of Sergei Ivanov, who's the Russian national champion, he has a similar sort of jersey too, but his is red, white and blue, with a red, white, red and blue at the bottom. And obviously I think that is something that was designed by the company Katusha.
Well, they're making a steady climb up here. It's not very steep, just on 5% as they make the climb. There's the king of the mountains. He's having a day off at the moment, Jussi Väikkönen, because those riders up front haven't scored in the mountains so far. George Hincapie there, just tucked in behind him. David Miller here. This is Saint-Vincent de Montal. 3.3 kilometers, takes us to 202 meters above sea level, about 650 feet, slightly less. And leaves us 83.5 kilometers to race to the finish.
Around about 2 hours of racing from the summit of the climb to the finish in Barcelona, but even the finish in Barcelona is at the top of a climb. There you can see Alberto Contador with the yellow sunglasses on, and he is itching, I think, Phil, to test his legs out tomorrow on the big climb up to the mountaintop finish of the ski resort of Arcalise in Andorra. Levi Leipheimer, his teammate. Amazingly, Team Astana occupy 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th place overall because of their great performance the other day in the team time trial.
Nice image of George Hincapie here, riding his 14th Tour de France. It was only the first one he didn't finish. He was pulled from that one because they felt he was too young to go the distance. Ever since, he's always finished. And he was part of Lance Armstrong's team every time Armstrong won the Tour. That's 7 times.
Just over on the left-hand side, you might spot a rider in an orange jersey. That's the three-time world champion, Oscar Ferreira. He's being very attentive today on Spanish soil for the whole of today's stage, and I would think he's got in the back of his mind the thought of a possible victory too, because this kind of finish up to the climb in Montjuic, and I'm just looking out of the window, Phil, from the commentary position here. It is absolutely pouring down once again.
And these boys out on the course here, they're not far from the finishing line of this climb now, are respecting these roads, so they've got to be careful going down. No heroics required at all on the downhill section here. Now let's see if there's a sprint from anybody or whether they just take it easy here. Not a lot to gain, but there's plenty to lose at this stage of the tour. The peloton on the climbs are cutting into their advantage. They were out to 2 minutes and, well, they were out to 3 minutes and 45 after 64 kilometers. We're now coming up to the 98 kilometer and they're cutting it back to 1 minute 50. A little bit of a reaction from the field. Actually looks a little bit drier down there, doesn't it? But the umbrellas are still up. And no big reaction from Jussi Väikkönen. There is one place for a point from the peloton, so I would have thought Väikkönen might have tried to come out and get it, because it would make sense with the three riders up front taking away the points, which for them at the moment it doesn't matter. This is the rider who fell off earlier, Gonzalo, Eduardo Gonzalo, was not in any hurry to get back, and he's now gone off the front. Well, we can't see out of our commentary box anymore in Barcelona. It is like somebody has started a waterfall over the windows. It is that heavy, and these boys are heading to this weather, and I'm afraid the weather forecast is tipping it's not going away until tomorrow. Well, this would cause a lot of surprise situations if we go to Andorra in the same conditions too. There's a little reaction from the bottom of the field, but it's not Väikkönen. It looks like Cadell Evans, who's trying to go and reach Gonzalo. The Spanish boys trying to impress the local crowd as they all lean forward to see where the peloton is. They better jump back as well. This is the top. Let's see, no sprint. We didn't expect it. Auger, Chavanel and Garmin. Well, as Dave Miller's got third, I promised you earlier, let's have a look now a little bit more about the American teams, and in particular Garmin Slipstream.
Last year, we came in with very realistic expectations, and we completely smashed them.
This is a huge move by Garmin.
That is a phenomenal performance there.
Team Slipstream has done a great prologue.
Great July.
That puts the icing on a great season.
The philosophy of this team is to sort of stick with the people that we've chosen, support the people that we have faith in, and not just go buy, you know, some big shot.
Didn't have a ton of turnover in riders. I think we only brought in a few new riders, and we brought strong riders in. We'll just strengthen every aspect of the team.
The confidence level and the experience is vastly greater than last year. I mean, you have guys going back to races that they've done now, and they know what it's like to be there and do it.
People are growing up really quick now, and people are starting to be more professional, starting to realize what it's like to be in Europe full time.
This year, I think, you know, people expect more out of us, and we are seeing that the athletes we're choosing, the methods we're using, the culture that we created, it's working. You know, our goal is to win the Tour de France. I know that the statistical probability of us winning the Tour de France isn't as high as Contador winning the Tour de France, but at the same point in time, we've got a lot of bright minds working for this team. We've got a lot of talented athletes working for this team. The athletes here are more enthusiastic about doing something incredible that's beyond anyone's expectations for the group of the team, not for themselves individually, but for what this team is. And I think that you know, that could make the difference that turns the dark horse into the front runner.
Well, that's the Garmin team. Let's have a look who they are. Julian Dean is from New Zealand. He's 34 now, but a great lead-out man. Tyler Ferreira is the big sprinter and sprinting well here at the Tour. Another strong rider on the squad for mid-term is rider Heischedorf from Canada. Martin Mascant, he was the last man into the team. David Miller is in the breakaway just now and could be in yellow tonight. Danny Pate, a former junior, under-23 rather, world time trial champion. Christian van der Velde finished 4th in the Tour last year. And Bradley Wiggins, 3 times Olympic gold medalist, also saying never had such great form. Zabriskie also silver medalist in the World Time Trial Championship. So it's a good team. Now we've got one of them in our camera lens up front, as we see now, Astana. getting to the front because they want to see the way down the mountain and look after Lance Armstrong and Contador. It looks like Levi Leipheimer is the rider on the front of the group. Common sense this, the team will lift the pace because they want to control the descent and have no silly falls on these sharp bends. So as we fall away from the climb of the day, we still have one more third category and a fourth category still to come, and the finish, of course, in Barcelona.
Buckle up, everybody, because we're taking a ride that can strain your relationships and hurt your pride. It's the credit roller coaster, and as you can see, it kind of bites. So sing the lyrics with me. When your deck goes up, your score goes down. When you pay a little off, it goes the other way round. It's just the same for everybody, every boy and girl. The credit roller coaster makes you want to hurl. So throw your hands in the air and wave them around like a wannabe frat boy trying to get down. And bring them right back to where your laptop's at. Log on to freecreditreport.com. Free credit score and report with enrollment and triple advantage.
When it comes to going bald, you now have a choice. Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
It is your real hair. It's your natural hair. You wash it, you cut it, you swim with it.
Bosley is the world's most experienced hair restoration experts, having pioneered virtually every major advancement in the art and science of hair restoration.
I'm very satisfied, very happy with what I've done. This has got to be one of the best decisions I've made in my life, I'll tell you that.
Bosley Hair Restoration is a relatively simple outpatient procedure. The results look completely natural, and it's affordable on nearly any budget. Call the toll-free number now to receive your free, no-obligation information kit that will help you decide if hair restoration at Bosley is right for you. You don't have to accept going bald. Do something about it right now.
Call 1-800-480-3231. That's 1-800-480-3231. Call now.
Just another perfect day. I think I'll walk this way where the trees do sing. I'm feeling part of everything, and all my troubles seem to fade away. Skies look brighter.
The hybrid for everyone is here. The Insight, designed and priced for us all from Honda.
Why throw away your money? Switch to Sprint. Save $360 a year with the Everything Data Family Plan and get the BlackBerry Curve 8330 smartphone for just $49.99.
These are the Americans' overall standings here, with Lance Armstrong, Levi Leipheimer heading the bunch, Dave Zabriskie still holding in 9th place, Christian van der Velde in 12th, and 169th for Danny Pate, but nonetheless playing a valuable team part for Garmin Slipstream. Well, earlier today at the start, Tyler Ferreira talking with Robbie Ventura.
Tyler, a potential sprint finish today, maybe not. Course looks pretty difficult. What are your hopes for today's stage?
You know, I think today is going to be pretty hit or miss with, okay, it's lumpy during the stage, but the last 2K being uphill is going to be, I think, tough for guys like me. So it might be a different rider you're seeing at the top today.
More on yesterday's finish, actually. You had a really good kick to the line, took it from the front, almost held off Cavendish. Is that going to be the strategy from here on in?
Yeah, it seemed to work pretty well. So, you know, we're just trying different things because, you know, we got to figure out something. So that worked well, and yeah, we'll probably try that again later in the race.
The sprinters team miscalculated the gap just a little bit. Can you tell us about why you think you guys didn't bring back those 2 leaders?
You know, I mean, I think they just surprised us just how strong they were. We figured the last 25K into a headwind like that, it wouldn't be wouldn't be too difficult to bring them back. And we put the teams on the front, and the gap just wasn't coming down like we thought it would. So those guys were really, really moving up front.
Were all the teams fully committed to that chase, though, or do you think some teams should have put more guys in that group?
I mean, we were fully committed. Columbia was fully committed. There was a few other teams that, that for whatever reason, didn't want to throw in all their guys. They would only throw in a few. But, you know, like we said, I think everyone just figured with the headwind it would come back easily, and in the end it didn't.
Thanks, Tyler. Good luck today.
So you see, even the big boys can make a mistake, and Thomas Voigtler not complaining yesterday as he won by 7 seconds. Looking at the main peloton here at the moment, it is being absolutely powered along by all of the Astana team of Alberto Contador and Lance Armstrong. And the only reason they can be doing this is because they want to keep out of danger on these wet roads. Well, as we go along the peloton here, we just caught a glimpse of 141. That was the winner yesterday, Thomas Voigtler. Happy to be in the pack, I would think, just now. Stefan Ogier taking a little bit more risk on the road as we go down. On the descent of the climb at 78 kilometers to go, a little bit of a gap open by Stefan Ogier. The others taking no risks. I think the other two are more or less surrendering to the field.
Well, I'm surprised to see Ogier try and go out on his own like that. As we go back to the main field, you can see Team Astana have come to the front end of the peloton. They know that they're going into a very dangerous and technical part of the course, the slight downhill section in between the two third category climbs. But I also wonder if Team Astana, Phil, are not playing a little psychological game here and giving out a little bit of pain to show what they're going to set themselves up for tomorrow.
You might be right, you know, because let's face it, Paul, they are riding like the team with the race leader on it. And instead of the Saxo Bank team of Fabian Cancellara doing all the controlling, it is Astana trying to assert their authority on the race the day before we go into the mountains. It's very, very interesting. Remember, Lance Armstrong on countback is 22 hundredths of a second behind the race leader Cancellara.
Well, the race situation at the moment is we have 3 leaders in the front of the bike race, chased by 1 rider, Ahmet Churuka, at around about 50 seconds. Then the main field have pulled themselves back to just 1 minute and 10 seconds in arrears. Look how Fabian Cancellara is attentive, though, Phil. He doesn't have any teammates around him currently. He sits right up at the main field. He's keeping a very close eye on Armstrong and Contador.
Well, they're taking no chances, that's for sure. And Cancellara is such a clever bike rider. He knows who he's got to watch, and it's the man who's just that 1 second behind him, which when it's rounded up to the whole second. And it looks like Ogier has been brought back to heel by the other 2 riders, Chavanel and David Miller. Roads are wet, but they're not soaking yet. That's the thing. And at the finishing line, the torrential rain just eased back, but it is still raining very heavily.
Well, Stefan Ogier has got himself maximum points so far this afternoon, Phil, in the King of the Mountains classification. He won the 4th category climb. He's just won the 3rd category climb, and he wants to make sure that they survive to the next climb of the day. He's actually got himself enough points out on the course to become the new leader of the King of the Mountains race at the end of the day. But I'm sure he'd like an extra few points, especially at the 3rd category climb, which is not too far away from where we are now. But this is the interesting thing. Team Astana at the front end of the main field. Lance Armstrong sitting in 4th position there, and I wonder if in his mind he's nurturing the thought of a last-minute burst up this climb to Montjuïc to try and get a single-second advantage over Fabian Cancellara, because that is all that he needs to take the overall lead in this bike race.
Well, you're not alone in thinking that, Paul. It's been talked about. We came in the end to the conclusion he wouldn't try it, because why take all the pressure of carrying the yellow jersey in the mountains and having to work your team very hard? But it might be a plan. I think Cancellara is going to watch for that one, I must say. There's the peloton. We're on the way down. If Stefan Ogier does get the King of the Mountains jersey today, he's won it before 2 years ago. He wore it for 2 days, so he can add that to his collection. He's in his 7th Tour de France, by the way, Stefan Ogier. We're back up with the leaders. He seems to be doing all the pacemaking down here. These two are taking no chances on the way down.
Well, he's taking the risk. So one thing that is very important on a day like this is tire pressure. Unlike car racing, where you change a different kind of composition of rubber for the dry weather and the wet weather, in cycling the most important thing is the actual tire pressure. And if you know that it's going to be a wet day out on the road, you make sure that your tire pressure is a little bit less, hoping to increase your adhesion to the road.
Well, they've just started there, the 4.1 kilometre ascent now of the Col Sacreux. which is what Auger wants, because this, if he wins it, will give him the points to give him the polka dot jersey tonight. So that's why he's hunting, and that's why he doesn't want the peloton to come back until he's over the top. We've got a 4-kilometre slog up here now, which is just on 2.5 miles. Sylvain Chavanel has joined him. Miller has joined him. There's the gap, 40 seconds to Churuk, who's chasing 1.5 back to the main field. They might let them run a little bit again now. Well, we'll take another break. One thing that's rain, that's the rivers round here. They're overflowing with all this rain. We'll see in a moment.
20% more cash for your broken, unwanted, or mismatched gold jewelry. Cash for Gold, the largest volume consumer gold buyer in the USA, is on an extended buying spree. Prices are still at all-time highs, and we still can't keep up with demand. So we've raised our goal $100 million and extended our deadline. Now we're out to buy $200 million in gold by the end of summer, September 30th. Send us any unwanted, broken, or mismatched gold jewelry right now. Call for a free prepaid envelope. Fill it with the items you want to sell, send it to our secure processing center, and get ready to count your cash. And to meet our new $200 million goal, we've increased our cash payout by 20%. Cash for Gold owns its own refinery. There's no middleman, just more cash for you. And now we're paying even 20% more cash. Call before the gold rush ends September 30th.
Call 1-800-953-7993 or visit cash4gold.com.
Michelle has had leukemia since she was 2. The Coleman twins were born 24 weeks premature. Max had his first surgery when he was 3 days old. These kids are alive today, and it's a real miracle. When your child needs help, there's a Children's Miracle Network hospital nearby. Go to childrensmiraclenetwork.org to support our hospitals helping local kids.
It's the symbol of superiority for which they all fight. But every tournament only has one champion. 2009 will take a select few to legendary heights and bring others to their knees. But they continue the fight with some fresh faces entering the fray. Because it's what they know. It's what they do best. Watch the Champions Tour all season long on Golf Channel.
Versus delivers sports from soup.
Sports soup for everyone!
To nuts. First at 11. No one in the sports world can hide from Sports Soup's Matt Eisman. Then, pride and passion mix with a dose of insanity when the fans take over on Fanarchy.
I'm gonna eat this cat!
Sports Soup and Fanarchy. Tuesday night, only on Versus.
Welcome back. Look at this tempo riding here. Popovic is on the front at the moment. We're on the climb of 4.1 kilometres now, about a kilometre up for the peloton. But it is most interesting. We're looking at the Astana team of Contador and Lance Armstrong ride like they have the race leader on the squad, setting all of the pace. And right behind, next man is the leader of the Tour, Fabian Cancellara, because he's expecting something on the day when really we expected nothing with the big mountain tomorrow of Arcolis. But I think half of the battle is they want to keep out of trouble. There's the face of Lance Armstrong. He is not in trouble at all. He's at the head of the peloton 100% of the time. That's what the computer is telling us. He's sitting on the wheel of Alberto Contador. These hills won't worry him either. And this is a message going out to the peloton that we are the team to beat, guys. There's no question about that. A little bit of a psychological battle perhaps before the Pyrenees tomorrow as well. Good tempo riding. Just see the little tilt of the mountain here. Churuk is now only 26 seconds behind, linking up with the 3. Best thing that could happen for them is he does catch them, because then 4 of them might settle into a good race. They've got 73 kilometres to go. It's around about 46 miles. This is down the rear of the field. Just steady riding. There's the face of David Miller from Scotland here. He's never had such good form, he says, in the Tour de France. He's looked sharp for a few weeks now. I think he's been itching to get away, and he's sitting in 10th place overall.
Yes, his teammate Bradley Wiggins is also saying that he feels he's got the best form of his career. He's a lot better than he was in Beijing last year when he got himself 2 gold medals in the individual and team pursuit. And he's also shed himself a couple of kilos as well, which will assist his climbing ability. This man here is the sprinter from Lampre, and he obviously went down very hard yesterday, which is why he's nastily bandaged up. And getting dropped at this stage, Phil, is not all that good, because you have to bear in mind on today, which is a flat stage, the elimination time is only about 6% of the winner's time.
Well, he certainly is. He's looking like the invisible man out there with all those bandages all over him. He's not a climber when he's got no bandages on his legs. So he had a good stage win when he beat David Miller, actually, right to the line in the Dauphiné Libéré this June. And now it looks like he's going to drop off rather early. Well, it's going to be a tough battle to get in and beat the time limit if he drops off this early. Going back to the man who was voted the most aggressive rider in 2007, the year Alberto Contador won the Tour de France. This is Ahmed Chiruka, who finished 23rd in that race. It was his first Tour, and he really was good in the mountains. This kid's got no fear of these roads when they tilt upwards.
Well, in fact, he's doing an excellent job. He started chasing the 3 leaders when they had a 1:10 advantage, and I just quickly did a time check on him there, and he's only about 20 seconds behind them. If he keeps going at that kind of progress, he should be able to catch them before they get to the summit of the climb. And that, Phil, I think is why Stefan Ogier in the red here is really giving it full tilt to try and make sure that the little Spaniard doesn't catch them before the mountain points at the top of this climb.
Well, Miller at 1:07 behind this morning is still the leader of the Tour on the road. But if Ogier can just get up there past that final kilometre now before this boy gets on and win the points at the top, the polka dot jersey could change shoulders to him tonight.
1 kilometre to go, 21 seconds this young man is looking for to try and get himself across the gap up to those 3
There's
leaders.
The cars just behind.
Only just around the corner. We're inside of the final kilometre. Clever move by this young man. He obviously felt that he knew these roads, and he's looking to see if he can get himself a few points in that competition, which will earn him the right to wear the polka dot jersey. But Stefan Ogier has done such a good job today out on these early climbs that he should be the new leader in that race tonight.
So here we go now. Are they going to make it first? Miller was a bit shaky there, as the spectators should really watch where the riders are. This is a tremendous crowd. Tour de France in Spain, popular as ever here. They love the bike racing here, but they want to see Spanish riders in front. 2 Frenchmen and a Scot right now, but the Spanish boy is coming, and coming as quickly as he can. He's closing in. Ogier wants the top, and he gets a King of the Mountains. He's worn it for 2 days in his career a couple of years ago. And he knows that Chiruka is coming as well.
He is battling. He really put in a long turn there just to try and make sure he could survive that extra 10-15 seconds. He will be waiting to look around the corner to see when he can see the summit of this climb. And it's amazing the people who have turned out here, Phil, because after all, this is only a 3rd category climb.
It is.
It makes you wonder what it's going to be like tomorrow when we go into the big high spot of the Pyrenees.
Well, there'll be 71 kilometres left over the top of this climb, and this is a super crowd here, and they're all in shirt sleeves and no umbrellas, so it's amazing that the rain has not hit this section of the course at all. So 12 seconds it is now. Chiruka is coming very quickly. So there's the banner at the moment, and they're locked on a challenge. Ogier, flag of Australia on the left there, but it's Stefan Ogier who gets the sprint to the line. The other 2 boys haven't scored enough points. They're not going to spoil his day. Gentleman's agreement, I suspect. And so there's the new King of the Mountains tonight, providing he gets to Barcelona safely. There is a 4th category, though, still to come. It's quite a long one, too, at 4.7 kilometres. This is Chiruka. He's chasing them down. They'll probably wait for him now because they've scored the points, and 4 usually travel better than 3 in theory. As they continue now on the descent on dry roads. They've come through the rain, but they're going to circumnavigate the mountains here, and they're going to continue as we go on our way down. Well, we're seeing some inspired riding here. What drives your inspiration? We'll take a look at this, presented by Honda Insight.
I want to cross that finish line first, and no matter what's in my way.
Where did he come from?
I'm going to find a way to get across that line first.
Cavendish is there, and he's done it. Absolutely superb. He delivered.
I want to see how far I can push myself, how good I can be. And also, I mean, the sweetness of the victory. I didn't have any last year, and I'll keep on fighting for them this year.
You might race all year and have one race of the entire year that is a phenomenal result. You know, either a win, top 5, whatever's important to you, and you think it's a good result. And that one result happens to push you through the next half of the season. That's what you always shoot for, is that one positive result.
Yes, these guys really have hearts of lions, don't they? They all want success. They're the best of friends, the majority of them, off the bike. But on the bike, it's a matter of personal achievement and pride for sure. The grim faces there on the Astana, not really grim, just concentrating, I think, as the whole Astana team drag up their 3 leaders at the moment, which is Leipheimer, Contador and Armstrong. The 4 at the front haven't quite got together yet.
Well, we've just set the tempo, Phil, through this very dangerous and difficult part of the course, while there's a lot of riders suffering at the back. Auger got himself maximum points once again, and he is the new leader in the King of the Mountains classification. He should have got himself 14 points to Vaikkonen's 9.
So as the peloton drag themselves over the top, Stefan Auger has got the first different jersey of the day. He'll be pulling on polka dot tonight when he gets down to the finish, or should I say up to the finish in Barcelona. Now just see, oh, they're together. There's the Euskadel orange jersey of Churuka. So once they were over that battle for the points, they've let him in now, and he's willing to work, because this kid knows how to work. He is a very aggressive bike rider. 4 riders now. I think we might see the time gap grow up a little bit. We'll see. We'll take a break. See you shortly.
Molecular what? A force field that prevents sludge.
Tired of the claims? Get a guarantee. Only Valvoline guarantees your engine up to 300,000 miles. Get Valvoline. Get guaranteed.
Hamels looks toward home. The pitch. He walks him.
Come on, Cole. Keep pounding the corner. Get him to chase one outside. Who are you?
Oh, Dad.
Oh, no.
Wearing the same cap the pros wear doesn't mean you're one. New era. Make the majors or buy one at the store.
At TireRack.com, we don't just sell tires, we test them. On our test track and on real-world roads.
We stock nearly 1 million tires.
That's the largest selection anywhere.
And TireRack delivers to you or thousands of our independent recommended installers, usually in just 2 business days. All this at prices that won't leave you flat. TireRack.com. Research, buy, deliver, install.
Going to bars and going to clubs, that really is a passive way of meeting people. eHarmony really is an active thing.
It's I'm ready, I want this. eHarmony is a tool in that choice.
eHarmony.com. Review all your matches for free.
Before the start of the race, I can feel my heartbeat in my hands, in my throat, in my eyes, everywhere. Fear and the stress, it makes me better. What do I see at 230 miles an hour? It's tunnel vision, and you have one goal, the checker flag. Speed is about winning races, breaking records, and making history. Speed is my drug.
Welcome back, all smiles there. That was yesterday's stage victor, Thomas Voeckler, who finished 7 seconds ahead of the field. One stage, he was nearly 12 minutes ahead. But, you know, it shows you that breakaways can, on occasion, succeed. So, as we look here at the breakaways, there's still hope for these guys, too. It's stretching a little bit now. It's gone out to 1:40 since the arrival of the Spanish rider up front in the orange jersey. 4 riders now, knowing that they are still racing to wet roads today, even though the rain has not hit this part of Spain. David Miller is in the breakaway as well for Garmin Slipstream. Could be a great coup for the Americans. He's still the race leader on the road right now. Well, as I say, breakaways can succeed. We're always asked, of course, why do they break away and hope to win the stages? Here's a little bit more from that.
The breakaways are easy to justify. You look at the Tour de France, it's simple. You have the top best sprinters in the world. Those guys are most likely going to wrap up all the flat stages. Then you have the hill climbers. So I'll give you 15, 20 guys tops that can win a Tour stage.
80% of the group knows they need to be in a breakaway at some point during the race.
I think a lot of people misunderstand just how difficult it is.
The breakaway gets formed based on timing and experience.
I mean, it's more kind of chess out there. You go out there and attack 50 times and not make that breakaway.
It's a winning breakaway. I am absolutely certain of that.
People race flat out like there's no tomorrow.
These guys putting it all on the line and try to make it to the end.
That huge effort those guys put out in the beginning of the race makes it difficult for them to even get to the finish.
An opportunity like this from a breakaway does not come very often in a career, maybe once only.
It's unbelievable when it succeeds.
4 Musketeers beat the peloton today in Brittany.
If you're not one of those 1 through 20, you're not going to win unless you go up the road.
Well, here's the success rate. It's not great, but it does happen indeed. A bunch sprint. You can see that only on stage 3, Dumoulin won with a 4-man breakaway, and then we went down stage 19. Sylvain Chavanel is in the break again today, let me remind you. He won from a 2-man breakaway. The other rider then was another Frenchman called Jeremy Roy. So you see, it does work occasionally, and you've got to go out and find out if it's going to work today, haven't you? Otherwise, the racing would be extremely boring. Well, there is the face of Sylvain Chavanel. As he continues, we are hearing on race radio that Cadell Evans has had a flat tyre. Well, let's hope he quickly changes that. He should do. Well, as we look here at the breakaway, Paul, Cadell Evans has got himself a flat tyre at the back of the race. It's not really right, is it? He's having such a rough time. He has the bad luck and his team has the bad luck.
Very unfortunate. I just got a little nod over race radio that he's got himself back into the main field. So not really too much panic for Cadell Evans on a situation like this. But again, it's an indication, Phil, that the bad luck seems to be all over his Tour de France this season.
Yes, his team is not the strongest of teams, and that's causing the problem, of course. But he was waited for by 5 of his teammates dropping back, so they're certainly doing their job in this respect, and they've quickly got him back into the field.
And there's a change in jerseys at the front end of the peloton. You see Team Katusha are very keen to come and do the pacemaking. So too are Team Milram, obviously thinking about Gerard Cholik. And Team Cervelo test team have always had a couple of riders to the front end of the pack as well, thinking about the possibility of a win by Thor Hushovd. Gerard Cholik, formerly a teammate of Mark Cavendish, Phil, has moved across to the German squad Milram during the winter transfer season. He was pretty vocal in the press this morning, saying that as far as he's concerned, Mark Cavendish is not unbeatable, and he's going to try and get his wheel across the line in front of him.
That's the attitude. Never say die. That's what Mark certainly wouldn't, so why should the others? This is Sylvain Chavanel, his name on his number there, flapping in the wind, who won a stage of the Tour de France last year. And I think they're all pretty happy that one more rider has strengthened the attack here with Chiruka, because it's gone up to 145 since they came together. So they're starting to move out again just when it looked as though they were going to be swept up. Hey, this happened yesterday, Paul. They were almost down to 35 seconds yesterday, and they went away again, and they stayed away. At least 2 of them did.
Well, 2 of them survived to the finish only by 7 seconds for Thomas Voeckler and about 7 centimeters for yes. Mikhail Ignatiev. But I'll tell you one thing, they're in the easiest part of the course now. They've gone over the 2/3 category climbs. It's rolling countryside now until they get to the final climb of the day with just 20 kilometers remaining. And that's where we might see a number of riders, especially a number of the sprinters, Phil, coming unstuck, because that final climb up to the summit of Saint-Fost is a very difficult climb. It's rated only 4th category, but it climbs up around about 400 feet.
Well, there is a climb up to the finish. It doesn't carry any mountain points, although it's as steep as any they've been up today, so it should do, but it doesn't. It's just for the win of the final stage. So we'll see if the sprinters try to elbow into the climbers, which we expect them to do.
Two strong riders in this group are David Miller on the top there in the blue jersey with Garmin written on it, and of course Sylvain Chavanel. Both of them very good individual time trialists.
Minute 45, all the washing is in a straight line on the television screen there, which means that all of the wearers of the big jerseys, including the blue of Astana and Lance Armstrong, is in the peloton. 4 riders ahead at minute 45. It's hard work, but we're getting a little bit out of the leaders here. That's the Pyrénées Orientales, the edge of the Pyrenees straight ahead now. That's where we're going big time tomorrow. But right now we're going to Barcelona. See you all in a moment.
My name is Derek Berge. I'm in Los Angeles, getting honked at.
Quaker State wants to know who has the world's worst commute.
74 miles, 4 hours. I have a sweaty, wet back, and it's 110 degrees. Speed limit, 65. Me, 5. My engine, not happy.
A tough commute is tough on your engine, so get an oil that goes way beyond industry standards. Quaker State bonds to metal surfaces for 2 times better wear protection. Quaker State, real, durable oil.
When it comes to going bald, you now have a choice. Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
It is your real hair. It's your natural hair. You wash it, you cut it, you swim with it.
Bosley is the world's most experienced hair restoration experts, having pioneered virtually every major advancement in the art and science of hair restoration.
I'm very satisfied, very happy with what I've done. This has got to be one of the best decisions I've made in my life, I'll tell you that.
Bosley Hair Restoration is a relatively simple outpatient procedure. The results look completely natural, and it's affordable on nearly any budget. Call the toll-free number now to receive your free, no-obligation information kit that will help you decide if hair restoration at Bosley is right for you. You don't have to accept going bald. Do something about it right now.
Call 1-800-480-3231. That's 1-800-480-3231.
Welcome to Empire, Colorado, the gateway to Rocky Mountain National Park, Winter Park, and Grand Lake. Empire is a small, friendly town steeped in history and nature. See the original Hard Rock Cafe. Experience unique shops, award-winning restaurants, and local artists. Or stay at the Peck House, the oldest operating hotel in the state. There's great hiking, biking, four-wheeling, and the extreme sport of mountain boarding. Empire, Colorado, in the heart of Clear Creek County. Nearby and near perfect.
Through the years, many things pass from father to son, like Aqua Velva Aftershave. Smells great, cools, firms, and tones. Cool. Aqua Velva, men get it.
Wake up your whiskers with Electric Shave. Electric Shave! Stands up whiskers for an up to 52% closer shave.
Man, that was close.
Electric Shave. Blade close. Electric smooth.
Let's remind ourselves of the top 5 overall standings in the Tour de France, locked on the same time. Cancellara, Armstrong, 19 back is Armstrong's teammate Contador. In fact, all of his teammates, Cloden at 23 and Leipheimer 31. All Team Astana. Let's have a look at our Trek aerial view as it reveals here the Church of San Nicolo. This was built in the 16th century, made a bit bigger in the 18th century. It's now known as the Coastal Cathedral. And the riders have passed already this point today as they head towards the finish in Barcelona. And it wasn't raining at this time, as you can see. They've been in and out of showers all day, but the torrential rain, they're so lucky, has not hit them. Down there at the front, Rabobank all of a sudden have come up to the front now. They're having a forgetful tour at the moment, really. Menchov crashing, and they're guessing going out yesterday, and now they've put 2 team men on the front here. Let's find out what the team think of that. The director sportif is Eric Breukink, and here he is now talking with our Frankie Andreu at the start this morning.
Eric, yesterday a very difficult crosswinds and Robert Hastings having some difficulty. Can you tell me, he's out of the race, and what's his situation?
Yeah, he has broken his wrist. So we saw already in the race that it would be difficult to start today, and it's impossible. So he's home.
Today, going into Barcelona, Oscar Ferreira, a very good puncher, very quick. A little bit of your ambitions for today's stage.
Yeah, it's a stage where it suits him well. So we see you have to have the complete peloton together, and we'll see if some other teams has the same interest, and then maybe it will work out.
Dennis Minchoff is a little bit down in the general classification. Looking forward to tomorrow in the mountain stages. Can you tell me a little bit about the strategy of maybe of Dennis having to be a little bit more aggressive than what he's been in the past?
Yeah, you have to ride in a different way now, because when you're almost 4 minutes behind, first you have to feel well in the mountains. So the first stage will be feeling the good way of climbing, and then after we see when he wants to win time, you have to attack sometimes.
With the problems of Hastings being eliminated, Minchoff being a little bit far down, the atmosphere of the team, is it still good?
No, it's different. We had a very difficult start, so now we need a moment who can we have a little bit success and a good result, and then we start from that.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Well done, Eric. Eric Breukink, by the way, rode 11 Tours de France. He won 4 stages of this race with a best finish of 3rd on the podium in Paris in 1990. So he knows all about the ups and downs of this event, and he'll try to salvage what he can from the race. And sure enough, 2 of the team are racing on the front at the moment, just to see what happens. The long straight road, Paul, and doesn't augur well for the breakaway when it's long and straight, but even so, I'm just wondering if there will be a chase back here. The opportunity, of course, comes at that 4th category climb as a springboard. Quite a long climb as well, nearly 5 kilometers.
Yes, I think that's going to be quite a tough climb, especially if either Team Astana or Team Saxo Bank decide to go to the front and put the hammer down. But if the men in the group behind Phil want to get themselves the victory, this is what their goal is. It's to catch these 4 leaders: Chavanel, Stefan Ogier, Ahmet Chiruka and David Miller. And 2 of those riders are extremely good individual time trialists and enjoy getting into a breakaway like this. But I have a feeling today that there's a number of teams of sprinters feel that their sprinters are suited to this climb up to the line. Of course, Oscar Ferreira of Spain will try to do it on Spanish soil, but Thor Hushovd is a strong man when it comes to a climb like this, and they may well all feel that this is their chance to get one over on the young man from the Isle of Man, Mark Cavendish.
Well, into a long tunnel there, but we're hearing, in fact, that Cadell Evans has not rejoined the race at the moment. He's got 5 teammates with him, and they're saying he's still being pulled back in. Looking down at the peloton, judging by the tight peloton there, it shouldn't be a problem to get back, because they're not really turning the screw too tightly at the moment.
No, but they're starting to get themselves fairly well organized at the front end of the main field, and what I find interesting is there are a lot of different teams prepared to come and do the pacemaking here. Katusha, the Russian squad here, obviously thinking of Pipo Pozzato. I've noticed as well Rabobank are pretty happy to do some turns at the front, and that will be for Oscar Ferreira, and Cervelo test team for their man Thor Hushovd. And noticeably, probably for the first time in the Tour de France this year, Phil, we haven't seen any riders from Team Columbia HTC coming to the front end of the pack. Now that could either say that they're fed up of doing all of the work, or they're not sure that this is a finish to suit Mark Cavendish.
Yeah, that's a good thing there, because I think Mark will try to win today up this little climb. Oh, look at this now. There's the art of television inside the tunnel. I don't know how they're getting the signals to us outside the tunnel, but it's not breaking up yet. Oh, it's because we're actually parked outside the tunnel. It looks as though we're inside, isn't it? There's the peloton coming underneath. All the orange jerseys there, the Euskaltel Euskadi. That's a northern Spanish team from the Basque countryside. They're going to be feeling in home ground tomorrow as they go into the Pyrenees. We'll see more of them. I'm afraid we're in the clouds, by the way, up there, so I hope it doesn't get too wet. Anyway, Lance Armstrong is back, need we remind you, and so we thought we'd ask the riders in the peloton what they thought about Lance Armstrong's comeback. Very interesting. That's next after this break. See you in a moment.
Lance was coming back, at first it was definitely a bit surprised. He's, in my opinion, one of the greatest athletes in all of sports.
To things you care about, leave nothing to chance. Travelers, insurance for auto, home, and business.
Choosing a car is like trying on a dress. As soon as you slip into it, you know it's the one. But you still turn around to see the back. Because let's face it, you want them to hate to see you go, but love to watch you leave.
Introducing the all-new Cadillac CTS Sport Wagon.
One thing about this race is that you're hitting the most extreme conditions you ever hit in a race.
I can't even describe how bad it is. It is the roughest road you could ever imagine riding a bike over.
The bikes are unbelievable. I don't know how I raced Roubaix before without it.
We think it's nice to have stock bikes in the races so people can see how good those bikes really are.
Exceptional. They've surprised me again.
I'm buying car insurance.
Right now?
Yep. I just logged on to thegeneral.com.
At The General, you can get an instant online quote that includes a low rate, low monthly payment, and a down payment as low as $59, even if you have tickets or an accident on your record.
Okay, all done.
Great. Bring me some cheese puffs.
Best car insurance rates in town. Call 1-800-GENERAL now.
The internet. If you're using it to communicate, shop, and gather information, then you're doing it all wrong. The web is invented so you can see stuff like this.
I'm a local mom. All right, thank you.
That's why we're proud to introduce Web Soup, the finest internet videos the way they were meant to be seen on your television. And you're welcome.
Web Soup, hosted by Chris Hardwick, all new Sunday at 9, only on G4.
The 2009 Tour de France on Versus is brought to you by Travelers, Insurance, InSync, and by Cadillac, and by Cervelo, Enjoy Engineering.
Welcome back. These are the leaders on today's stage of the Tour de France. Dry roads at the moment. 4 men still up there. Hanging in is the word, I think. 1:31 is the difference as we get 5 kilometers to go to the third sprint of the day at Quart de Deux. That'll take us within 49 kilometers of the finish. They're the 4 names of the leaders. You see their time gaps lost since we left Monaco. So Miller is the obvious man at 1:07 to be the next leader if he can hang on by that list distance. That's where we are, the last green S on the screen as we head towards the... You see how crucial that last 4 is. That the 4th category climb is quite hard. It is just on 5 kilometers, that climb. And I think the breakaway will have to split there. They're going to have a chance. That's if they're still away. There's the jerseys of all the leaders, but the blue jersey on the left is representing the whereabouts of Lance Armstrong until he picks up another jersey, if he does. He's on the comeback. He's created an enormous amount of interest again in the Tour de France around the world. And because of that, we wondered how it's affected the riders of the peloton. So we thought we'd ask them. And this should make some interesting viewing for us all.
Lance Armstrong. And my mind, he's still a mythic figure.
My girlfriend texted me, Lance is coming back. I said, he's not coming back. Come on, man.
Nah, you gotta be kidding. That's just like a joke in the internet.
When he first called me, I thought, he's at a party, he's drunk.
Next day, I pop on to one of the websites, and there he is, saying it himself. I was like, Lance is coming back.
When I heard Lance was coming back, at first it was definitely a bit surprised. He's, in my opinion, one of the greatest athletes in all of sports in our history.
I took 2 years off and then came back, and I know how tough it is, but he's special. And if he wants to do something, he's going to do it. So if he wants to win the tour again, he's going to, he's going to give it a go.
The impact he has is huge. It gets a lot more people interested. I also like the fact that he comes back with a message to try to help people, to save lives.
For us in the peloton, think about it. We're stoked because it's awesome for us, it's awesome for our sponsors, and then of course, his Live Strong Foundation is phenomenal.
It's a motivating factor, seeing what he's doing and how much he's enjoying it. It kind of shakes you once in a while and says, hey, appreciate what you got.
His personal drive and the things he's done in the sport's inspirational to everybody.
It's a fantastic story. At the end, it's like, it's like if he's never have left.
Lance he's tough. When he's good, he doesn't have that many weaknesses, and I know that more than anybody. If he's at his best, he's going to be tough to beat for sure.
Wow, at 37, this is his tour back now. Look at these positions so far. The Monaco time trial, he finished 10th, 40 seconds off the pace. Stage 2, he climbed up into 3rd place overall. Stage 3, he held on and went on to 2nd place overall. The team time trial, they won that as a team, and then he became 0 time alongside Fabian Cancellara. 22 hundredths of a second is the official split if the tour were to finish right now. Amazing guy, and everybody feels he has brought a new fillip to the sport of cycling. So maybe Gerald Cholik is expecting to win today, as Milram are putting a man up in the chase. They are the blue jerseys, orange and blue jerseys of Rabobank. They're thinking of Oscar Ferreira if they can release him, because he's Spanish and he knows the roads up to the finishing line for sure.
Catalan flag flying high there this afternoon. Yes, certainly I think Spain would love to get a victory on Spanish soil, and it could be the German Cholik who would despoil the party, because he's a man who Phil knows how to finish it off on the top of a long climb like this. I think it's going to be a very strange sprint here to the summit of this climb, and if you make a mistake, you really can mess it up. Cancellara fairly relaxed here. He's just gone back to the team car for a quick chat, I think, and maybe a little bit of oil on his chain.
O'Grady just keeping an eye on team leader, just waiting to see what he's doing, and then help take him back up to the bunch. This is very typical at this time of the day, and there is a little problem with his saddle, and he's just making sure it's tightened up.
Now, bear in mind that he pulled this bike in, I think, out of the team car after he won himself the opening individual time trial, and it was probably specifically designed with the thought that he might get the yellow jersey for a couple of days. Well, he defended his yellow jersey in the team time trial on stage 4, and so far everybody is starting to be of the opinion that he will lose it tomorrow, although there are some parts of the press who really believe that he's a changed man this year, and the fact that he's had a hard time finding his form in the early part of the season may well have the form to stay with the leaders on the summit climb of Arcalis tomorrow.
I saw Matthew Lloyd there, of Australia, also hanging around the back of the race. We are presuming that Cadell Evans is back in the race. There's Matt Lloyd in the red jersey. So I don't think he's there for any other reason than to talk to the team car, which is up alongside him. So that would indicate quite clearly that Cadell is now back in the pack. Taking on food.
Cancellara just coming back there to have a quick chat with the team manager. That's Bjarne Riis, winner of the Tour de France in 1996.
I'd like to know what they were saying, but we're not going to find out at the moment. That's Jens Voigt, who's come back here. Just say, just stand by. I'll get a drink as well, Fabian, then I'll pace you back up to the race.
Well, Fabian Cancellara had a very difficult...
Oh, he's got a saddle problem now. Must be catching it.
It must be catching. This is, as you can see, Catalonia is welcoming the Tour de France this year, because a lot of people in this part of the world don't really believe this is Spain. It's Catalonia.
This is the town of Cadillac at the moment, as they get a royal welcome here, that's for sure. And all the shouts will be for the man in the orange jersey, naturally enough, as Chiruka paces them through. It must make your arms tingle. It must be a tremendous feeling heading up the Tour de France on foreign soil. One Spanish rider, a Scotsman, and 2 Frenchmen. There's yesterday's winner, best of friends at the moment with the maillot jaune of Fabien Cancellara, who finished 7 seconds behind him. He'd been in the lead for 180 kilometres, I think it was, yesterday. Thomas Voigtler might even be congratulating him here, you know, because they don't necessarily stay in the same hotels at night, so it may be the first time he's got to speak to him since his victory. Now that's how you close the roads for the Tour de France. 3 lanes wide. It's all reserved for the bicycle riders. As with a lot of the cities here in Europe now, you can hire a bicycle here and just go for a ride. And the rules are interesting, because in Barcelona, for example, there's 150 velos on hire. You put your credit card into the slot. It takes some guarantee off you. You go off for your ride. If you put it back within half an hour, it's free. Otherwise, it credits about $1.50 for the privilege of hiring the bike. So if you want to go to work on it, no worries. You put it back and lock it up with your credit card when you come back, or you drop it off at any of the other stations. There are 15 bicycle depots. That was the last sprint. That was in Quart de Dieu. Wasn't really a sprint, but Sylvain Chavanel pinched the €800. We'll take another break. We're running out of competitions along the way before we're back in town at Barcelona.
Hi, may I help you?
Yeah, I'm looking for car insurance that isn't going to break the bank.
You're in the right place. Only Progressive gives you the option to name your price. Here.
A price gun?
Mm-hmm.
So I tell you what I want to pay.
And we build you a policy to fit your budget.
That's cool. Feel so empowered.
Power to the people.
The option to name your price. New and only from Progressive. Call or click today.
It's coming. This July. The dark side of Comic-Con. Only on FearNet.com.
There's nothing that excites me more.
Only on FearNet.com.
Through the years, many things pass from father to son, like Aqua Velva Aftershave. Smells great, cools, firms, and tones. Cool. Aqua Velva, men get it. Wake up your whiskers with Electric Shave. Electric Shave! Stands up whiskers for an up to 52% closer shave.
Man, that was close.
Electric Shave. Blade close, electric smooth.
Across the nation, elderly, disabled, and other families in need live in unsafe homes because they can't afford crucial repairs. Rebuilding Together is their best hope.
Rebuilding Together's purpose is to preserve affordable home ownership for our nation's millions of low-income homeowners.
Each year, we repair over 10,000 homes, making them safe and more energy efficient at no cost to the owner. Our work stabilizes neighborhoods and revitalizes communities. Learn how to impact your community at rebuildingtogether.org.
Speed is about winning races, breaking records, and making history. What do I see at 230 miles an hour? It's tunnel vision, and you have one goal, the checkered flag. Speed is my drug.
Cavendish in the green jersey. There's the peloton down there. You know, Cavi's the man at the moment, isn't he? His demon sprinting has netted him 2 stage wins so far. And for his Team Columbia HTC squad, And I could be out of date at any minute because they're racing all over the world. I think we're standing at 53 victories this season for that team, which is quite amazing. Looks to me as though the riders here beginning just to sense that the pace is slowing. Little bit of time out and chance to get back up to the leaders here. You can see David Miller's little race radio on his head too. And so we're looking here at the 4 leaders, but I was talking a little bit about Mark Cavendish. They're one of the guys that are always helping him out, not just on the bike, by the way, because George Hincapie is a man who actually spends time with him all of the time. And he says he is an incredible character. Is about to give us some words of wisdom now, because this morning at the start, talking to the George Hincapie. Let's go down to Frankie Andreu at the start.
George, you're very familiar with this area, Girona. I mean, it's pretty much your hometown in Europe, I guess. What's it like to come back here during the tour?
Oh, it's great. It's really special. This is a place where I've spent many years here. Been here for, you know, over 10 years. So it's great that we have starting here at the Tour de France stage, one of the biggest events, sporting events in the world, and have my family here. It's going to be a special day.
You're very familiar with these roads going into Barcelona. You know them. Can you tell me a little bit what you think of the course? And the finish up the Montjuïc is pretty difficult. Think it might be too difficult for Mark, and is that an opportunity for maybe some other members on your team?
Yeah, we're not sure exactly how difficult it is, but there's definitely going to be, the plan is to try to keep Mark protected, because obviously the green jersey is a big priority of ours. But I think there might be a breakaway today because there's lots of climbs, and you know, we don't want to kill the guys from the beginning. There's still a long way to go for the Tour de France. So hopefully, if it comes to a sprint, we'll do our best for Mark, and if he's not feeling good, we'll have a couple other guys that can take over.
Obviously, your experience, you've done tons of Tour de France. Is a little bit of a distraction having the family here and trying to stay focused on trying to accomplish the goals?
I mean, it's good. It's been a week since I've seen them, so it's worth the distraction for sure.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Good old George Hincapie, 14 tours. In fact, that man has ridden. He's completed 13 of them. He's getting close to the record of 16 tours by Joop Zoetemelk of Holland. Nice to have the family around. George was telling me the other week when we were covering the Tour of Switzerland that it costs him 150 euros every time he comes back to Barcelona, because he flies into Barcelona and then he has to go by taxi to his house in Girona. He says the taxi driver knows him well. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Well, I hope they miss these, Paul. It'd be very sad if they crush them, but I think they will. Steady on, boys. There's 4 cyclists on the road here. No, we've done it. I think more importantly, there's probably a big bollard where our camera is.
I think the cameraman was probably taking it fairly carefully there as the main field splits up and comes back together again. They're going to have to start chasing fairly shortly, Phil, if they want to pull back that 1 minute and 43 seconds on those 4 leaders. And I would have to say that there are a number of teams are just getting themselves ready in the wings to start cranking up the pace a fraction to pull this all back together before we get to Barcelona.
Just talking about George Hincapie, Paul, as you know, he lives in Girona and he knows these roads very well to Barcelona. But he was saying this morning that in fact they're not going to kill the team just to try and get Mark Cavendish first up the hill. But if there's a possibility, they will help him. But on the other hand, George is expecting the breakaways to succeed today.
Well, he knows this terrain extremely well, and it is the sort of day when a lot of people felt the day before the big mountain passes that a breakaway might succeed. But usually the day after a successful breakaway, as we saw yesterday, the teams of the sprinters normally get it right the following day, which is why I think these guys may well not survive here this afternoon.
Well, 145, they've edged out a little bit, but it's not really running away, and that's what concerns me. At this stage of the chase, they should still be going out, because I think the main field thinks they might have them under control. These are the 4 riders in the lead, and lucky for them, they've managed to avoid virtually all of the rain so far today, which I find absolutely amazing, because although it is beginning to look a little more hopeful up on the hill here at Barcelona, well, let me remind you of our various competitions, etc. here on Versus, and the Tour de France on Versus, which we know is the most epic race ever. And you can sign up for the Road ID Tour Challenge powered by mapmyride.com and Versus. You could win a trip to Paris to see the winner across the finishing line, and that will be provided by Trek Travel. The Tour de France at Versus.com. Log on and enjoy, and maybe we'll meet you in Paris. So a little shot at Cadell Evans there. He's back in the peloton right now. It's been another rough day for poor old Cadell. Second the last 2 years in the Tour de France. He's down there somewhere right now, and they won't be interested in chasing down anybody in that leading group. Will anybody chase them down? These four guys haven't got a hope, I'm afraid. We'll see you very shortly back on the road to Barcelona.
Wow, sweet minivan.
That's minivan A to you.
It's raining!
With the great taste of a McDonald's McCafe Mocha, a better day is possible. Freshly ground espresso, real steamed milk, and decadent chocolate. Go ahead, McCafe your day.
A car wash for under $1? Incredible! A car wash and wax for under $1? Impossible! Until now, introducing the Spongetech car washing system, the revolutionary way to wash and wax your car to a professional finish. Spongetech's patented soap infusion process builds the soap and wax right into every fiber of the sponge, revolutionizing the way you clean from now on. And right now, just to get you to see how revolutionary the Spongetech cleaning system is, we'll give you enough Spongetech cleaning sponges for up to 8 car washes and waxes, 2 detailing sponges, and this ultra-absorbent chamois. But wait, there's even more. If you call right now through this special TV offer, we'll triple your order. You'll get enough Spongetech sponges for 24 car washes and waxes for just $14.95.
To order your Spongetech car wash system, call 1-800-844-2198. That's 1-800-844-2198. Call now and we'll triple your order for only $14.95. That's 24 car washes and waxes. Don't delay. Call 1-800-844-2198 now.
Tuesday Versus delivers sports from soup to nuts.
It's faster, it's harder, it's stronger. You need juice!
First at 11, no one in the sports world can hide from Sports Soup's Matt Eisman.
Do you plan on playing in the NFL next year? Maybe.
Can't waffle on that.
Then,
save it for your mama.
Pride and passion mix with a dose of insanity when the fans take over on Fanarchy.
I'm gonna eat this cat.
Sports Soup and Fanarchy. Tuesday night, only on Versus.
Let's all paint the town red and white, black and brown. Watch the colors dry. They mix so well, it's no surprise. We are all in this together. Let's all build a home, gather up the friends you know. Somewhere we can go. We'll make it.
The hybrid for everyone is here. The Insight, designed and priced for us all, from Honda.
Hamels looks toward home. The pitch. He walks him.
Come on, Cole. Keep pounding the corner. Give him a chase one outside. Who are you?
Oh, Dad.
Oh, no.
Wearing the same cap the pros wear doesn't mean you're one. New era. Make the majors or buy one at the store.
Welcome back if you're just joining us, and I hope you're not. Here's the situation so far. Breakaway formed after about 40 kilometres today of David Miller, Stefan Ogier, Sylvain Chavanel. They've been up to nearly 4 minutes, but 111 k's to go over a small hill. Came Chiruka to join them. That gave us 4. 50 kilometres to go. The peloton sits a minute 19 seconds behind the leaders. So there's your situation at the moment. It's now a big question as to whether there'll be a surprise new leader of the Tour de France. David Miller rides on the Garmin Slipstream team, and if he stays ahead by more than 1 minute and 7 seconds, he's the next man in yellow.
Somehow I don't think Fabian Cancellara is going to allow that to happen, because Cancellara, I think, is getting used to that yellow jersey. He's enjoyed having it over the last few days, and of course his advantage over Lance Armstrong is not very much. And I think if we see a situation where they've got 1 minute and 7 seconds on the running towards the finish, then all of a sudden Team Saxo Bank will come and do the pacemaking. However, I don't think they're going to have to, Phil, because there's too many teams of sprinters who are quite happy to come and do the pacemaking in this group.
Well, that's because of the uphill finish, and they feel it's not just the pure sprinters now who'll have a shot. It is still wet in Barcelona, and it looks as though it is still pretty damp out here as well. I do feel as though the clouds are receding, and it might be nice and dry for the finish, which we would like, because it's quite a twisty old ride up to the summit of Montjuic from the centre of downtown Barcelona today. That makes a spectacular picture, doesn't it?
Well, it certainly does. Race radio crackling in my ears to inform me that the official time gap is 1 minute and 30 seconds to the 4 leaders. And the run into Barcelona is a magnificent run in which we will see in about 45 minutes time, because they are taking in some of these huge boulevards. It's a magnificent old city, Barcelona, with a great amount of varied history, and was, as you said earlier, the host to the Olympic Games back in 1992. I can see Danilo Napolitano's come to the front for Team Katusha, and that would indicate to me that he obviously doesn't feel this sprint uphill is to his liking, so he's obviously going to sacrifice his chances for Pippo Pozzato this afternoon, the Italian national champion.
Well, he's an explosive rider as well, of course. Italo Rono there welcomes the Tour 2009. And these are some of the biggest crowds. We've had some terrific crowds all day here, despite the atrocious conditions for much of it. And the peloton, at the moment, keeping control. Minute 31 is the gap up to those 4 leaders. They've been strengthened, don't forget, by Ahmed Chiruka, but I have to say they haven't gone very far ahead because of it. And I expect Chiruka to go clear on his own on the climb, perhaps.
Well, if you just check the length of that long peloton there, Phil, the reason is they are now starting to turn up the gas. They've got most of the difficulties behind them. They've been over 4 climbs so far, 2 fourth and 2 third categories, but they're now lining up to the last 4th category climb of the day. And I have a feeling at 16:24 local time, we should be at the finish before 5:30.
Which is pretty good considering the conditions today. We were due in at 5:15, middle of the road time. There's Chiruka, who would love to win today for Spain, and Duo Vaucler, he won for France yesterday. Back in downtown Barcelona here at the moment, giving you a quick spin around the city. This is the Agabar Tower. And as the riders will see this, it still looks a bit damp down there. In fact, it stopped raining up on the hill for the moment. This, by the way, the tower which the company that owns is the Agabar de Barcelona. It's a water company, in fact, that owns this tower. So don't forget, continue to play our game. Just go to versus.com/ride of your life. Chance will see you in the 2010 Tour de France. You might even get a yellow jersey or a polka dot jersey signed by Paul Sherwen, Bob Roll, Craig Hummer and myself. Or you might even win a Cervelo bicycle. You'll need the code word, though, when you log on, which today is RPM. So as we look down at the tower, which is owned by a water company, rather fitting that, considering the weather we've had today, but normally Barcelona's deep in sunshine. I've never, in fact, seen rain in Barcelona in my life before, and I hope it goes away. The peloton are heading towards us. See you in a moment.
My name is Wes Birmingham, Atlanta, Georgia.
Quaker State wants to know who has the world's worst commute.
You got construction on 75, 285, I-20, 30 miles, 2 hours. There's nothing I love about traffic. Nothing. Gotta be killing my engine.
A tough commute is tough on your engine, so get an oil that goes way beyond industry standards. Quaker State bonds to metal surfaces for 2 times better wear protection. Quaker State, real, durable oil.
If human achievement can be determined not by speed or strength, but by character, then it's easy to see who the most amazing athletes really are. Be a fan of dignity, acceptance, and the human race. Volunteer, coach, or compete in Special Olympics.
Through the years, many things pass from father to son, like Aqua Velva Aftershave. Smells great, cools, firms, and tones.
Cool.
Aqua Velva. Men get it.
Wake up your whiskers with Electric Shave. Electric Shave! Stands up whiskers for an up to 52% closer shave.
Man, that was close.
Electric Shave. Blade close. Electric smooth.
At First Bank, we do not clone nor endorse the cloning of U.S. currency. Would be against international law and a breach of banking ethics. The $50 you receive upon opening a free checking account is real money and has not been duplicated in a covert genetics laboratory. So at your earliest convenience, go to First Bank or visit us online and get $50 that has never been cloned.
Growing up in a family with my dad winning the Indy 500, you take some heat. There's really no sport like it. We're inches apart, wheel to wheel, and one touch, and you're gone. It's a crazy lifestyle. That's how it goes.
Well, it's a huge day, of course. Tomorrow we say farewell to Spain and we go to Andorra, which is sandwiched between France and Spain, right in the middle of the Pyrenees. It's the big climb of Arcalís. It's the 7th day of the Tour de France. We come to you at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. That's 7 o'clock in the morning Central Time. And this is going to be a big day out, believe me. It's a big chance for Armstrong Contador to challenge for yellow. And don't miss our nightly expanded coverage either, starting at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. So, as we look down here on this beautiful cathedral, which is right here in the streets of Barcelona, this is the Cathedral of Santa Eulalia. We switch back to the race, which are getting into the rain, I'm afraid, again. And those wet, slick roads, you see, because of the corners now, because those roads are getting a bit slick, the big gaps between the riders' wheels, they really don't want to follow anybody close, because just overcook it on a corner and you'll slide out and take everybody with you, as we've seen in the past, of course. There's the leaders. They're going into the rain now. David Miller, still best placed to take yellow, and he's still got the advantage. Well, it seems heavier here, Paul, than where the bunch is just now. And they're riding into the rain by the look of it, and it's what, 34 kilometers to go. We're heading into Montornès del Valles at the moment. Well, there is the peloton. Mark Cavendish is coming right to the front now, so perhaps we've got it all wrong today. Perhaps he is going to have a go for the sprint finish. Cancellara also up near the front. The chase down is happening. It's just about 61 seconds now. So for the first time for a long time, Davy Miller is not the leader of the Tour on the road.
Well, the majority of work that's been done at the front end of this main field, Phil, has been done by Team Cervelo test team. They've done 60% of the workload over the last 10 or 15 minutes, with a little bit of help from Team Katusha and Rabobank, and occasionally a small amount of work from Team Milram. Now, they've all got very good sprinters in their midst. Mark Cavendish riding at the front there in about 7th or 8th position. The reason he's done that is he knows he's not a great climber. He knows there's a climb coming up very shortly, so he wants to start the climb at the front end of the main field, and that gives him the chance to slip back through the peloton and hopefully stay in contact over the summit.
Yeah, he's waiting to see just if this breakaway is going to be brought back, and if it is, he'll want to be in the right place to try and take out the stage. But Davy Miller of Scotland, number 56, he manoeuvred himself well into this breakaway. Clearly, Garmin Slipstream did have a plan today. They had an earlier move from Dave Zabriskie. That didn't work. Miller went in the next one, and for the moment, that has worked. So as they continue now, Ogier looks as though he's hanging on. He'd love to stay away at least until the last climb, but there's no doubt now he's got himself in a position to become the new leader of the King of the Mountains tonight. And so he'll be off to the Pyrenees in the polka dot jersey tomorrow. So, as we see the riders here, and the yellow flag means danger. Watch out for those bollards, boys, and the glacial road at the moment. And while they negotiate, let me remind you too, because all the fans love the Nike Chalk Bot. It's been travelling all over the roads of France, spreading messages of hope and courage. And don't forget to log on to weareyellow.com or search Chalk Bot or tweet on Twitter, and you will see your message here at the Tour de France if you take part. There's a young man, he's taking part, you see. We're back with the race now. The road's getting a little bit glacial, reflecting the riders off the water there. These are the 4 leaders. You can see the waterline going up their shorts now and changing their jersey colours. A lot of work for the helpers tonight. Got to wash out all the kits, clean all the bikes. That's the job you don't want in a major cycle race. I don't think those people ever go to bed on the Tour de France. They are the best. All right, we'll take another break, but we're getting closer to the climb, which might yet decide the destiny of the day.
I was matched with Dave. When I pulled up his profile, I just remember going, wow.
It was almost like you could sense her energy through her profile.
At eHarmony, our in-depth questionnaire lets us get to know the real you, so we can match you with other singles on far deeper levels than other dating sites.
It was different in the fact that we were very connected.
I felt like I was meeting somebody that I already kind of knew.
It was almost like we knew each other, but we just hadn't seen each other.
Let eHarmony help find the love of your life. Get started today with your free personality profile at eHarmony.com.
Wow. My bike? Alberto's bike? Lance's bike? Wow. Well, I was shopping for a new car. Which one's me? A cool convertible or an SUV? Too bad I didn't know my credit was whack, cause now I'm driving off the lot in a used subcompact. F-R-E-E, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby. Saw their ads on my TV. Thought about going but was too lazy. Now instead of looking fly and rolling fat, my legs are sticking to the vinyl and my posse's getting laughed at. F-R-E-E, that spells free. Creditreport.com, baby. Offer applies with enrollment and triple advantage.
You wanted to see me, sir?
Oh, come on in. I had some other things you could tell people about Geico. Great claim service and a 97% customer satisfaction rate show people really trust us.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Trust is key when talking about Geico. You got to feel it. Why don't you and I practice that with a little exercise where I fall backwards and you catch me?
No, sir. Honestly, I don't think...
No, we can do this.
Oh, dear.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
With my bike. Yo necesito mi bicicleta para el tour. With Lance's bike. With Levi's bike. Wow.
Welcome back to the Tour de France today as we head to a wet and dreary Barcelona. The riders are now in the rain. You're looking at these beautiful pictures in high definition. If you don't know how to get high definition, do check your listings and where to find verses on HD. Magnificent pictures today. And we're back with the 4 leaders here. They're still away, but we're getting to inside at 1 minute now. So this is not looking good for them. The peloton is being driven by a number of teams who believe they've got the men to deliver to the finishing line today. And we're only 30 kilometers away as they approach another roundabout here now. The usual fan on both sides of the roundabout. Then they'll come together again on the other side. But it looks as though they're going to hunt down this situation down at the moment. There's a crash. The rider's just gone down and left, and he's taken out everybody else with him here. Now I can see a Garmin rider down there up on the climbing back over the barriers, and the Team Columbia rider who I think was the first down. That looks like it might also be Tony Martin who's gone down there, and it might have been Martin who went first. See that fall there? And I think that was Tony Martin who has gone down. Heinrich Hausler, we think, is also on the floor. He's sitting nearest camera. Now the thing is, are they all going to get up here? A little bit slow to rejoin. And the Colombian riders are looking to be as though, and it is a shame this one, but the rider, it's Tyler Ferreira is the rider who's getting back onto his bike on the right-hand side there. And the Columbia rider, I thought it looked like him, but I didn't want to say it. This is Michael Rogers. The last time he was in the Tour de France, he went over the side of a mountain and was out with injuries, which kept him out until this year. And I don't like the look of this at all. Well, this is a terrible, terrible shame if it is the end of Michael Rogers in this year's Tour de France. He has been riding exceptionally well. Moving off again is Heinrich Hausler, the lead-out man for Thor Hushovd today. It was the speed they fell. Let's have another look again here. One guy who makes the mistake. His bicycle has taken out the pack of cards, and Tyler Ferreira is the one that goes over the barrier there. Very quickly takes the quickest way off the course. Heinrich Hausler here now has got to get back as fast as he can. What a shame. Oh, but this is a great shame for Michael Rogers from Canberra in Australia. We've gone back to the leaders where we have an attack by David Miller. Well, as we leave behind the sad sight there of Michael Rogers, Paul, we've now seen David Miller launch an attack. It's a desperate move, this. He knows the gap has come into the last 50 seconds. I think he's got to go and use his great time trialing ability to hold the field off.
Well, he obviously felt that the guys in the group with him were starting to lose their impetus, and this was probably the right time for him to have a crack at trying to get himself the victory. It was an ideal move as well, because he attacked them from the back. He caught them unawares, and all of a sudden, once you've got the gap, everyone starts to look and says, well, who's going to be the first to move to try and chase down the Scot?
I think he's had to do this. He sensed the tiring of the rest of the riders. He knows that the breakaway is coming. He might or might not be aware of the crash which we just saw, which included Heinrich Hausler, and I thought Tony Martin was down there as well, but we didn't see him get back up. But the sadness is Michael Rogers, who crashed out of the last tour he rode here 2 years ago in the Alps over the mountain, looks as though he may be out again here, which I think is terribly unlucky for the Columbia HTC rider. But right now, this rider, David Miller, trying to win for the other American team in the race, Garmin Slipstream.
Well, it's coming down still quite steadily. It's 45 seconds of the time gap for David Miller, but now he's completely on his own. He can give everything that he's got in his legs now to try and survive over these last 27 kilometers. In about 2 kilometers time, Phil, he'll be starting this very long drag, and that may well be where he should be able to build on that advantage, because the teams of the sprinters who are working behind are normally not that good at going uphill fast.
Well, he's made his move 29 kilometers from the finish. Now, normally, David can time trial much quicker than this, and he could be there in a very short shrift indeed. But the problem is we do have this one hill, which is some 5 kilometers long, which might or might not help him.
Sorry again about the little bit of picture breakup, but that's because of these abysmal weather conditions that have come down on the Tour de France. And Miller, in fact, Phil, is starting to stretch that advantage over the front end of the main field, because he's notched it back up to the 1 minute mark.
Now, will they realise that Miller has flown the coop when they come back up to these boys? These boys are only 40 seconds now ahead of the peloton, which has been disrupted by that pile-up, which also took out Tyler Ferreira, and I'm not sure whether Tyler will get back in time to even try and contest the sprint. He's been running Mark Cavendish close in the sprints every day. Heinrich Hausler was supposed to be the lead-out man today for Thor Hushovd. He's now chasing as well. And Michael Rogers, when he walked to the team car, it looked as though he'd hurt his right arm quite badly, and I hope he hasn't.
Well, fingers crossed that information will come to us a little bit later on, while at the moment David Miller has flown the coop from this group of riders, and he's built himself up a 1 minute advantage. Although I'm sure that over the next few kilometers the main field will start to once again start cranking up the pressure.
Well, we're looking here at one of the other beautiful buildings which abound in the area, but I can't tell you which one at the moment. Sorry about a little bit of picture breakup. That's caused by the atmospherics now. We're going to have to hang on here. This is getting to the sharp end of another stage of the Tour de France. That's the crash which may have ended Michael Rogers' tour for the second time in 3 years. I hope not. We'll take a break. Rejoin us.
Wow, sweet minivan.
That's minivan A to you.
It's raining!
With the great taste of a McDonald's McCafe Mocha, a better day is possible. Freshly ground espresso, real steamed milk, and decadent chocolate. Go ahead, McCafe your day.
At TireRack.com, we don't just sell tires, we test them. On our test track and on real-world roads. So we stock nearly 1 million tires. That's the largest selection anywhere. And TireRack delivers to you or thousands thousands of our independent recommended installers, usually in just 2 business days. Right now, when you buy a set of 4 select BF Goodrich tires, get a $50 Visa prepaid card. For details, go to TireRack.com/TV. TireRack.com. Research, buy, deliver, install.
The internet. If you're using it to communicate, shop, and gather information, then you're doing it all wrong. The web was invented so you could see stuff like this.
I'm a local mom. All right, thank you.
That's why we're proud to introduce Web Soup, the finest internet videos the way they were meant to be seen on your television. And you're welcome.
Web Soup, hosted by Chris Hardwick, all new Sunday at 9, only on G.
The latest Turtle Wax breakthrough in car polish is Clear. Crystal Clear Turtle Wax Ice, a clarified synthetic carnauba that performs like no other polish or wax. Ice leaves no white residue on trim or in seams.
I had no residue whatsoever. It was perfect. Clear and deep, really brings out the shine.
Ice is so advanced, you can use it in the hot sun with outstanding results. Now, your choice is clear. Crystal Clear Ice from Turtle Wax, world leader through innovation.
There's more excitement coming to Blackhawk. Are you ready for Blackhawk's 24-hour fun? Blackhawk, bet up to $100. Are you ready for the thrill of craps and roulette? Same Blackhawk, more ways to win. Now playing.
One or two crashes at past and present there as we welcome you back to the Tour de France here on wet roads now. Those are the 2 French riders in the breakaway being collected by the peloton behind. David Miller is still on his own and being chased by Ahmet Çeruka out of front. So it looks like they've got those 2 back at the 25 kilometers to go. And it's Team Astana who has got to the front to drive this race at the front. And we're hearing on race radio that Miller has now got himself exactly 1 minute. That was timed on the 25 kilometer banner. So David Miller is flying away. Well, of course, what we can't show in our live coverage, we certainly catch up within our main coverage, our prime time coverage at 8 o'clock Eastern time. The men in charge of that are waiting to speak to you. So let's join now Bob Roll and Craig Hammer.
Phil, I don't know how you do it. The guy is everywhere. You're here in live coverage. You're going to join us. If you didn't know it already, in our expanded coverage, we'll, of course, have Frankie Andreu as well as Robbie Ventura with us that we try to do every day. But tomorrow, I know you've been talking about it as well, Phil, but you're looking forward to heading toward Arcalise, aren't you?
Tomorrow, the first big mountain stage of the Tour de France, and we have a great race because of the comeback of Lance Armstrong. All of that action and the battle for a new man in the yellow jersey will be on Arcalise. And today's stage, very exciting. A lot of very slippery conditions also, so a great stage. Looking for a sprint finish perhaps, but not necessarily on today's stage.
And Phil, I think you'd be in agreement with us, hopefully not a second day of the rain in Spain.
Thanks, Craig. By the way, would you send an umbrella across to the commentary box if I'm hanging around tonight? Back with the action here. Miller is actually about 25 seconds ahead of Çeruka. I don't think he'll catch up. Miller pushes on this climb, Paul. Çeruka's timed at 25 seconds. If Miller flips down, I don't think he could possibly ride down David Miller.
No, Miller is, in fact, Çeruka is losing time on David Miller. The last time check that crackled through was 25 seconds. He got to about 13 seconds at the 25 kilometer to go banner, but now he's losing the force of the man like Miller. You see, Miller is an extremely strong bike rider, but there's a big turn being done at the front now by Team Rabobank in the main field. That's an indication, I think, the nod, Phil, has come from Oscar Ferreira.
Well, they're now saying 28 seconds, so he's falling back. He's just lost another 3 seconds, Çeruka. And it looks as though indeed David Miller is also being nailed back here now because of the reaction from the main field.
Yes, I'm just casting my mind back, Phil, to the month of June when we went to see the Dauphiné Libéré, and David Miller got away at around about 4 kilometers to go, and we thought he was going to take a fine stage victory on that occasion, and he was caught just 50 meters for the line.
It was a very, very sad. I thought he got it. I thought he'd done enough. But it wasn't to be. But Miller's kept his form and he's riding a good Tour de France. He started the day in 10th place, but unfortunately he's not going to get the yellow jersey, I don't think. There's plenty of reaction coming from the field as the riders now just to see what happens. Here comes the charge of the Astana team, who are riding like they were winning the Tour de France, not riding in second place right now.
No, they certainly are all over the front end of the peloton. Miller now, I think, will breathe a sigh of relief as he starts to come up towards the summit of this climb. He'll get himself maximum points, but he's not looking for points in the King of the Mountains classification. He's looking to go over the top of this climb in first position. He's got 40 seconds advantage over the peloton. Now, with Astana leading the peloton, Phil, I think they may well not take too many risks on the descent because they're not really concerned about David Miller. They're not even concerned about the stage victory on a race like this. They're concerned about safety on the roads, which we've already seen are quite precarious.
Well, again, the roads aren't too greasy here. We've got no further update on the fate of Michael Rogers, but I'm happy to say that it haven't come on our computer saying he's abandoned, so let's hope he's continued on. Now, the reason this Cofidis rider is sprinting clear is because Stéphane Ogier, his teammate's been caught, and so he's taking the point here at the top because Ogier is keeping himself now in the lead in the King of the Mountains. This is life at the back of the race. Steph Clement here. Drop back, Rabobank finding another man in the spot of bother. As he falls away, this hill has hurt one or two riders, hasn't it? Even though it wasn't supposed to be very steep with just a 4th category tag on it. This is the dangerous bit, though, as we start the twists and turns on the way down. Miller is up, but will he get to Barcelona ahead of the rest?
When it comes to going bald, you now have a choice. Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
It is your real hair. It's your natural hair. You wash it, you cut it, you swim with it.
Bosley is the world's most experienced hair restoration experts, having pioneered virtually every major advancement in the art and science of hair restoration.
I'm very satisfied, very happy with what I've done. This has got to be one of the best decisions I've made in my life, I'll tell you that.
Bosley Hair Restoration is a relatively simple outpatient procedure. The results look completely natural, and it's affordable on nearly any budget. Call the toll-free number now to receive your free, no-obligation information kit that will help you decide if hair restoration at Bosley is right for you. You don't have to accept going bald. Do something about it right now.
Call 1-800-480-3231. That's 1-800-480-3231. Call now.
It's coming. This July, the dark side of Comic-Con. Only on FearNet.com.
There's nothing that excites me more.
On FearNet.com.
Growing up in a family with my dad winning the Indy 500, we take some heat. There's really no sport like it. We're inches apart, wheel to wheel, and one touch, you're gone. I did 19 last year, and it's kind of a crazy feeling. You got all these friends at college taking history exams, yet I'm sitting there going 230 miles an hour. And it's a crazy lifestyle. That's how it goes.
The inherent value of a Range Rover Sport easily handles the ups and downs of sand, mud, and the economy. Range Rover Sport, the luxury that's more than a luxury.
Finding a great low rate on auto insurance in today's tough economy doesn't have to be a perilous journey into the unknown. Just call the General right now for an instant quote. You'll get a great low rate, a low monthly payment, and a down payment as low as $59. Don't get caught driving uninsured or paying more for insurance than you need. Call or log on to the General now for immediate proof of insurance.
Best car insurance rates in town. Call 1-800-GENERAL now.
We're back and there's a desperate chase going on, but before we go, let's remind ourselves of where the main contenders are. The memory shows the pre-race favourites. Armstrong is second, Contador is third, and then mostly Armstrong's team are there as well. Christian van der Velde sits in 12th place and in a very good position at the moment, 1 minute 16 seconds back. Look at the face here of David Miller as he pierces the mist which is now forming. That's caused by the quite a warm day here, and the rain is coming down as well. We are hearing that the chase is good. Chiruka behind him is said to be only 10 seconds back of him, so he might come up. We've been just on the road for 4 hours, Paul. We're 17 kilometres out. Chiruka is coming. Here he is. If they can just get together, then there's a chance. Just a chance.
Well, if Chiruka's got the power to get across a gap like this, that's an indication, Phil, that he's still got a fine pair of legs, and two men have more of a chance of surviving off the front end of the main field than one on his own. But the gap to the peloton is just hovering at the 38-second point for Chiruka and 49 seconds for the main field. And it's Team Astana, and I suppose I should say I'm astounded with Astana, because really they are riding this race as if they were leading the bike race overall.
30 seconds, they're saying, at the moment. And yes, you're right, Astana have taken over the role of leaders of this tour today, and this is the day before we go to the mountains, of course, and to the big climb of Arcolis. Good psychological blow for the team of Contador and Armstrong, that's for sure. Right in the mist is where we're going. The rain is still coming down, but not quite as heavy as it was. Look at the length of that peloton. There's a lot of scared men down there with this weather.
I think the only reason that Astana are riding at the front is just to make it as safe as possible. If you have a very fast run into a town, Phil, it straightens out the main field, stretches it into one big long line, and there's much less chance of having crazy accidents. But David Miller is doing a fine ride here. He's got 31 seconds advantage over Chiruka, 40 seconds advantage over Remy Poriol, and creeping back up to around about a minute over the main field.
It is, and makes you want to cheer him on, but we're not going to, of course. As David Miller, we're going to stay completely unbiased and hope that he can pull something special out of the bag here. He certainly is pulling away from the field, and he's doing what he does best, and that's ride alone. And this young man, this is Poriol, Remy Poriol, who's coming up, who is actually catching up with Chiruka. So between the two of them, can they reach David Miller? Miller is riding his 8th Tour de France here. He's won stages before, only one of them a road race, and he won in Béziers, not that far away really, in 2002.
Well, that was from a small breakaway on an extremely hot day, but Miller has no fear at all of riding in wet and rainy conditions as Poriol here makes the junction, but they're still looking for about 40 seconds to catch David Miller. So I feel the main field is going to catch these two guys fairly shortly.
Well, just listen to the crowd cheering on these riders now. This is a terrific crowd in Spain. They do love their cycling here, and they've had dominant Spanish riders for the last 2 years in the Tour de France with Contador and Sastre. So this boy is riding on a high right now as he probably hears his name being shouted by the Catalans, although he's a Basque himself, and now has been joined by Remy Poriol. The French are getting the tails up in this race, Paul.
And the sprinters seem to have desisted once again here, Phil, because they're leaving all of the pacemaking up to Team Astana, and it may well be an indication that one or two of the sprinters got caught out by the severity of that climb and they're not back in the main field.
63 seconds, it's pulling away just a little bit, and we've got 15 and let's say 16 kilometers to go right now.
Well, that's actually starting to look good for Miller, and you can see he's got the bit between the teeth here this afternoon. He's in that aerodynamic position of his, the time trialing position.
1 minute 7 seconds, Paul. That is the gap that Miller was behind this morning. He is now again the leader of the Tour de France on the road.
That I don't think is a good sign for him, because all of a sudden you'll see Team Saxo Bank and Fabian Cancellara start to get a little bit annoyed about that, because he will want to keep the yellow jersey for the road up into Andorra tomorrow.
But wouldn't it be wonderful if David Miller, who rides on the American team but comes from Scotland, could pull on the maillot jaune? He's now pushed it out to 1:08. So as Miller battles for yellow in his 8th Tour de France, he also had the King of the Mountains lead for a couple of days in 07. Final reminder, guys, if you want to play our Cadillac Ride of Your Life sweepstakes, log on to versus.com/Ride of Your Life. Big prizes at stake, including a trip to the 2010 Tour de France. You need the password today to get online. It is RPM. A battle royal going on down there. It is Astana who are now finding Quick-Step are starting to relieve at the front, because they may feel Astana aren't trying to catch Miller. They're just trying to stay out of trouble. Lorraine is dancing on the pavement. Miller is dancing on his pedals. This is a terrific piece of riding by this guy. And the crowds, well, what can you say? Miller drives on through a corridor of noise now, as he'll hear his name being called all of the way. We're going to take our final break before we take the riders home. There's the finishing line. Just a light drizzle at the moment. Maybe a different storm is coming.
This is Derek Berge. I'm in Los Angeles, getting honked at.
Quaker State wants to know, who has the world's worst commute?
74 miles, 4 hours. I have a sweaty, wet back, and it's 110 degrees. Speed limit, 65. Me, 5. My engine, not happy.
A tough commute is tough on your engine, so get an oil that goes way beyond industry standards. Quaker State bonds to metal surfaces for 2 times better wear protection. Quaker State, real, durable oil.
Whether you're powering down the asphalt in a Cervelo S2 or a Cadillac CTS Sport Wagon, you're sure to get that rush. Now imagine the rush you could feel at the final stage of the Tour de France with the Cadillac Ride of Your Life sweepstakes. Just watch the Tour de France on Versus and look for the on-screen code. Then log on to versus.com/Ride of Your Life to enter. You could win a Cervelo S2 and a VIP trip to Paris to watch the 2010 Tour. The Cadillac Ride of Your Life sweepstakes, and watch the Tour de France right here on Versus.
Living with foot pain? Finally, the first ever pain-relieving cream for sore, achy feet from Gold Bond. Maximum strength medicine penetrates deep to stop foot pain in its tracks. New Gold Bond pain-relieving foot cream. Finally, fast relief for painful feet.
With Gold Bond medicated powder, you've got the power of fast, lasting relief from wetness, irritation, and itch. And that Gold Bond Cooling Rush says it's working like ordinary powders can't. Look for the healing seal, Gold Bond medicated. The powder with the power.
Crank it up. The ultimate NASCAR pre-race party is only on Speed. NASCAR Race Day. Be there. You'll be in the middle of the action. Live with John Roberts, Jimmy Spencer, Kenny Wallace, and thousands of NASCAR's biggest fans. And get the inside track with live reports from Wendy Venturini.
Let's get to the stories at hand.
Don't miss NASCAR Race Day. Built by the Home Depot. All season long. NASCAR on Speed.
Oh, yeah.
Be there.
Just delivers sports from soup.
Sports soup for everyone.
To nuts. First at 11. No one in the sports world can hide from Sports Soup's Matt Eisman. Then, pride and passion mix with a dose of insanity when the fans take over on Fanarchy.
I'm going to eat this cat.
Sports Soup and Fanarchy. Tuesday night, only on Versus.
So welcome back, and don't forget to log on to versus.com. Create your own fantasy cycling team here at the Tour de France, and best of all, it's free. Win exclusive prizes and enjoy the event. It's a real fun game, and there's many of you signed up. Well, David Miller, he's an American team, but of course he comes from the United Kingdom, so we can enjoy this together, everyone. Look at the crowd here as Miller drives through the rain for Barcelona. He's still pulling away, just. Well, Miller is riding absolutely superbly, and let's hope the form stays with him and lifts him high above the city of Barcelona here in Spain and gives him the victory he richly deserves today. These are the two chasers. There's the gap, a minute to those two, and then 1:11 back to the field. Miller just looks with one eye, puts his head down and drives along this long straight boulevard.
Well, he's got to get every last bit of energy out of those legs of his, and he has to sadly, Phil, retain a little bit in reserve, because the final 2 kilometers of this race are uphill to the summit here of Montjuïc, just outside the Olympic Stadium. These are the two men caught in no man's land, but Miller is still extending his advantage over the front end of the peloton, which I find quite amazing. He's stretched his gap out to 1 minute and 12 seconds.
Well, the bunch actually have the 2 in sight. There they are. There's not a lot. They're going back into the pack for sure. Then the bunch will settle down to concentrate on catching David Miller. Might be a little bit more of Milram, who have launched the and we have a 2-kilometer climb to the line.
Well, it's come inside that magical 1:07 for David Miller to 1:05, but he's probably not really concerning himself, Phil, with he's looking for individual glory and trying to get himself the stage victory. There's no real organised chase at the front end of that peloton, which lends me to believe that maybe the sprinters once again are going to get robbed of their chance of glory.
Remy Porol goes off our camera to the right, Taruka to the left, are back in the peloton now, as Case Dupont also starts to lift the speed here. Of course, the Spanish are going to go well. There is David Miller in sight of 10 kilometers to go as he drives, of course, dead center down the road to a corridor of people here who will no doubt be shouting his name as well. Terrific crowds as the Tour de France races to Barcelona, the furthest south it's ever been in Spain.
Well, it's inside of 10 kilometers to go now for David Miller, and it's almost 1 minute and 5 seconds. A little bit of urgency you can see at the front end of the pack. The Catalan flags are very high in the sky. The sun is starting to peek through, but it's not going to dry the roads here in the heart of Barcelona.
Well, it is not as torrentially raining as it was. That's one blessing in disguise. And with no further news at all on the fate of Michael Rogers, but I don't think he rejoined the field. Of that we are pretty sure. That's really bad luck for the Australian. But meanwhile, at the front, David Miller now preoccupied to deliver a win. There's so many people want to win here. They're trying to deliver their Spanish riders as well. That's why Rabobank are on the front now. They have got just the man for the job in Oscar Ferreira. If they can get him to the line in Barcelona first, they'd be saying job done today.
Well, it's more than a minute. I just timed it myself there at 1:02, and it was Juan Antonio Fletcher was doing all of the pacemaking on the front end of the field. David Miller now knows he's got to push himself into the red zone. We talk about the red zone as the level where your heart is right up at the maximum that it can operate, around about 95% of your maximum heart rate, and he's got to keep his heart rate right up there now. There's a crash at the back.
And that is the Japanese rider who's gone down there nearest camera, which is rather sad for B-Box, because that's Yukika Arashiro, and there, oh my goodness me. Well, this is going to disrupt the chase, I think, now. It was on a left-hand bend on the white line.
Well, that was because of the white line. Once again, that crash happened.
Rabobank involved, Paul.
Rabobank are not having their best Tour de France this year. That was Yukiya Arashiro there from B-Box Boy Telecom, has gone down pretty nastily. Dr. Port in the white shirt there is coming along to check on everybody, but that will probably disrupt the chase a fraction.
Well, this is Lawrence Ten Dam, who's straightening the mess out. Now, that's happened outside the rules of 3 kilometers to go, so those riders will lose time for that crash. As the mechanics get on the job in hand, the riders at the front just continue to drive here. Now, has this disrupted the chase? It doesn't look like it at the moment.
No, that crash happened probably 3/4 of the way down the main field, which is why, once again, I've always said you've got to ride up at the front, the first 25%. You might just notice popping in there now and again, Phil, is the green jersey of Mark Cavendish. Cavendish now will be starting to lick his lips, which is why this team has come to the front. There is a big split in the field, though, Phil, because of that accident. accident, and I wonder if any of the big leaders have been caught out. I just saw Levi Leipheimer, so I can only presume that Lance Armstrong is there, and Alberto Contador. The yellow jersey is there as well of Fabian Cancellara.
This is yet another critical end to a stage of the Tour de France. Day after day, it really does bite the bullet in the last few kilometres. They're trying to catch up with David Miller, but they're also trying to drop those guys who've been delayed in the accident. Now, Miller has got no more than 10.5 minutes to ride. That's an awful, awful long time when you're on your own and you're in the red zone. That's the limit of your ability. We are heading to the climb. We go right across this beautiful city, and then we start the climb up to the Olympic Stadium.
Well, that's where it's going to really start to bite for David Miller. He will be counting away at those kilometres as he goes round this corner. It's 7 kilometres to go to the finish. There is the Arc de Triomphe that Barcelona has just in the right-hand side there, but Miller goes charging by, hoping that this is going to be an arch of triumph for him as well. But he's still got to face up to that very difficult 2-kilometre ascent up to the end, and he's certainly not weakening as a rider, Phil. It's up to them. Another crash has gone down.
Goodness gracious me. Coppice are now piling up as their Euskaltel rider is also.
Bonen is on the ground there, Phil, right in the middle, the champion of Belgium.
Yep, that is Bonen sat it. There's a little replay. Well, we've lost a little bit, but that's Bonen who's gone down. He was a candidate for victory today, and he really has seen the wrong side of the Tour de France this year. It's been a rough ride for him. He won the green jersey last time he was in this race. Hasn't scored a single point this year because he's never been in at the kill.
Well, Bonen is hurt, but he's not going to be out. He's going to get up there. He's going to wait for the mechanics to come up alongside him, and he's going to ride himself down towards the finish line. This has been a dramatic ride into Barcelona. Let's have a look at that one more time. It was Bonen who went down first, and again, it was on those white strips across the road, extremely slippery in conditions like this.
Well, that's delayed the tail of the chase here. Gerard Porte, the doc, is having a busy last few kilometres of the race. Bonen will not worry about losing time. He's not here to win the Tour de France. He's here to win stages. And meanwhile at the front, the riders just get on with the job in hand here. Gerard Chorik's team are still driving at the front. Miller is down to 41 seconds, 40 as we speak. Just 6 kilometres to go, 3.5 miles. The last 2 kilometres are up a hill.
Phil, there are not many riders left in the front part of this main field, and there's not very many riders left to do the chase making behind David Miller, who's still holding on to a 41-second advantage. Round the corner, he will come and see another banner indicating to him 5 kilometres to go, but I have to say, David, just keep a little bit back in the gas tank there, because the last 2 kilometres climb right the way up to the summit of the climb of Montjuïc.
Generous applause there from the Spanish crowd for the Belgian champion. He tries to refine himself here. I think he's hurt himself, and he's now just going to ride to the finish. Team car comes and questions the situation with him. We are now cutting our way across one of the world's busiest cities. You won't believe the traffic jams here. We are now heading up towards the finish on beautiful closed roads, and Miller is doing one of the best rides of his life. 5 kilometres to go. There is the banner. Miller is clear by 37 seconds. It's a perfect road for a time trialist, long and straight. Unfortunately, we go across the square at the bottom, turn right, and start this short climb to the line.
Well, the organisation and the panic now coming from the teams of the sprinters who are whipping it up. Milram obviously think that their man Gerard Cholik has got a chance to win, but I think Columbia High Road to HTC also believe that Mark Cavendish can win, because he is still in this group. So too there is Lance Armstrong, the overall leader. Fabian Cancellara is safely in the front part of this split, but I wonder, Phil, this afternoon, who has been caught out by these crashes, because there will be some.
31 seconds is the gap. Miller is the loneliest man in Europe at the moment, as the whole field is challenging him for a win in the Tour de France. He's holding them, but only just. 30 seconds the lead, 4.21 kilometres to go.
Well, Miller is not weakening. He's keeping his pace nice and steady. He's picking his way around these corners, whereas behind it's absolute turmoil and chaos in the peloton, which is now probably down to only about 50 to 55 men. But there are a number of teams organising the chase, and if we come across to Spain for the Tour de France, just check out that crowd at the side of the road. They are enjoying this bike race. They want a Spanish winner, but they're welcoming here a man from Great Britain.
a long time since the Tour de France has come to Barcelona, and it doesn't pierce any further south into this country than this city. The boys behind are still wondering how on earth is one man stopping us catching up. Where is he finding the speed from to hold us all off?
When you're in the front of a bike race like that, though, and when you've got the possibility of winning a stage in the Tour de France, you can find that little bit more inner strength. This is Juan Antonio Fletcher popping through a little bit further back. The other rider from Rabobank in the orange jersey there will be Oscar Ferreira, and they will be looking around every now and again to see whether they can spot the shape of David Miller, and there should be a clean gap between the front end of the main field and Miller now, because it's down to 25 seconds.
25 seconds. He lost, what, 7 seconds in the kilometre. That'll do nicely. If he keeps losing at that rate, he will win. But unfortunately, we've got the uphill section here, and Miller's legs are going to burn like a bonfire when he turns onto the slopes of the ride up Montjuic to Olympic Stadium. If it's a matter of cheers that work, he's getting plenty of those now, because everybody loves an attacker.
2.8 kilometres, 22 seconds. The main field are still charging behind David Miller. He hasn't even looked back once, Phil. He knows that he dare not look back. He just needs to keep concentrated on the job in hand. Every now and again he puts his head down. That's to try and make him feel a little bit more aerodynamic, to make sure that he keeps the pressure nice and high. Mark Cavendish is still in there with a chance, because he's sitting in the middle of that group in around about 15th place.
As we pull back, there looks to be about maybe 60, 70 riders in this group here, but nobody else in the camera lens. As we swung back to the front here, Quick Step still working. They don't know they've lost their big man in Tom Bonen possibly. Rabobank are on the front now as they try to deliver Oscar Freire into the final couple of kilometres. 20 seconds out of the saddle is David Miller. 2.2 kilometres. We're about to start the climb.
I noticed Pipo Pozzato from Team Katusha was one of the riders who hadn't been involved in a crash. He was riding very close to the front end of the main field as well, just looking round the corners. Here is the big wide boulevard, and once he turns off this boulevard to the right-hand side, that is when the climb up to the finish field begins.
This is Barcelona showing you its best face now, apart from the weather. This is a beautiful city, empty for the Tour de France of traffic, and it's full of people here cheering a Scottish rider, David Miller. It's a right turn, then the climb starts. They're down there, the only men that can beat Miller. Everybody else is out of it.
Well, there's not many men in that group who can beat Miller. He takes a wide berth around that corner, and then he's going to start to get out of the saddle and feel the pain starting to dig in deep for the final time, because he's on the final ascent up to the finish. It's not very much at all. It's down to just 8 seconds with 1.6 kilometres to go, and there's still a lot of dedicated sprinters still in that group who want their men to pull this man back into the fold.
He's relying heavily now on the psychological factor. Who will make the move that will finish him off? Will they hesitate? Just a couple of seconds is all they need. Cadell Evans, the champion of Norway, trying to lead. In fact, the race leader in yellow, Fabian Cancellara. It's a strong man's finish here, and there's an awful lot of strong men just on the sharp end right now.
Gerard Czolik moving up into second position. There is David Miller, and he's about to get pulled back into the fold within 1.2 kilometres to go to the finish. It's Jaroslav Popovic taking over control at the front end of the main field. This is going to be a strong man's finish.
It has become a battle of strong men in the end. 26 kilometres of desperation from Miller here. I saw Tony Martin right centre there, centre right at the moment, as now everybody will believe they can make it. But Astana have got a lot of riders there. Now remember that Lance Armstrong and Fabian Cancellara are equal on time. Because it's an uphill finish, there could be a separate time here. They've got to mark each other.
They're inside of the final kilometre. Tony Martin's doing the turn at the front end for his men, and he may well be trying to set something up for Kim Kirken, because this is the kind of finish that could suit Kim Kirken. I'm looking for the green jersey of Mark Cavendish. It's a long way down there, Phil. I'm not sure that it's going to be a Cavendish win this afternoon. Oscar Freire is up there into third position. He's looking very good. Not too far away in fifth position is Gerard Czolik, and Thor Hushovd is also hovering in there in fourth.
This is going to be a huge lead out here by Tony May, because he's the man driving at the front, with Inigo Cuesta gritting his teeth in the background there. As Kees de Paan tried to get on in the action, so too do the liquid gas riders. Czolik is there, and Oscar Freire is poised. The rider in the orange jersey, the 3-time world champion. He's Spanish, and Cadell Evans also tried to break in on the action. And there looks like Roman Ferreira is having a dig on the right. Is he going to steal it on the line?
Well, there you you can see Oscar Ferreira looking over his shoulder. You can see the big face of Thor Hushovd. They're waiting for the final moment to kick, but it looks as if Felu went just a little bit too early there, Phil.
And there's a move on the far right of the road here, and I don't know if Ferreira's going to come out of third wheel and take it. Even Cadell Evans is trying to make something here. Now Ferreira goes, and it is Thor Hushovd who's going to challenge him for the line. Ferreira himself, he's Spanish. Hushovd, though, is the strong man, and it's Thor Hushovd who gets it. Oscar Ferreira will be in second place, and that was an incredible finish by a bunch of strong men. But take your hat off to David Miller. He's the most aggressive rider of the day, and what a great ride.
Well, it looks like it was a big lead out there, Phil, from Pippo Pozzato over on the left-hand side. The Italian national champion Ferreira started to go, but his legs died here as Thor Hushovd comes straight over the top there to prove once again why they call him the God of Thunder. He gets the victory here this afternoon for Cervelo Test Team on a finish which absolutely suited him.
Well, terrific result for Thor Hushovd. On a fitting day, really. We call him the God of Thunder. We've had thunderclaps all day long up here in Barcelona, and it was an omen. He's brought him home with a terrific sprint finish here. A lot of riders have lost time today. We don't know if it's caught off guard any of the big contenders who we'll see in action tomorrow in the Pyrenees, but certainly those crashes mean that these bunches arriving now have lost time.
Well, a lot of the big contenders, Phil, were in that front group of riders. I noticed Cadell Evans was in there.
Right there.
So too was Lance Armstrong, Fabian Cancellara. Most of the big names were riding right up at the front end of the main field.
Well, for Thor Hushovd, in his 9th Tour de France, he can now brag. He's won 7 stages of this race. He won at Saint-Brieuc in northern France last year. There's the arrival we've just seen of big Tom Bonan, thinking his luck is really out in this year's Tour de France. 1 or 2 riders on what should have been 16 hard but routine stages of the Tour, with the big object tomorrow in the Pyrenees. Hasn't been that way at all. We have seen some terrific racing. Take your hat off to the riders because they are totally responsible. Another big group coming in. Quick eye span across the picture. I don't see anybody who we might expect to see on top of the leaderboard in there. So they look as though they're just completing the course now. Look at this finish here. That is Rojas on the right, but this is Oscar Freire in the middle. Huge effort and a great victory for him, I have to say. Well, what would have been a great victory for him, except the God of Thunder clapped right on the line. He rips his bike apart, doesn't he? Confident. And so he spoilt the perfect day for the Spanish, in all honesty, and taking it back to Norway. There's the picture from the top here. We're just above Montjuic now of Barcelona. And I have to say that it has stopped heavily raining here, but it's still rather sultry and damp down there. So Hushovd, in his 9th Tour de France, now has 7 stage wins, and he might count this as one of his best. We'll sort ourselves out. We'll take a break, come back and join us for all the podium, standings, and the highlights. See you in a minute.
I really was looking for something that would be real, and that's why I chose eHarmony, because it's much deeper.
Only eHarmony finds you deep, meaningful matches based on 29 proven dimensions of compatibility.
I never would have met Tara without eHarmony. She's incredibly intelligent. She has a smile that lights up the room. I don't know how I could love her any more than I do right now, but tomorrow I'm going to love her more.
Get started at eHarmony.com today and review all your matches for free.
Buckle up, everybody, because we're taking a ride that can strain your relationships and hurt your pride. It's the credit roller coaster, and as you can see, it kind of bites. So sing the lyrics with me. When your deck goes up, your score goes down. When you pay a little off, it goes the other way round. It's just the same for everybody, every boy and girl. The credit roller coaster makes you want to hurl. So throw your hands in the air and wave them around like a wannabe frat boy trying to get down and bring them right back to where your laptop's at. Log on to freecreditreport.com. Free credit score and report with enrollment and triple advantage.
Oh, hi! Welcome to Progressive.com. Are you all right?
A ferocious white whale wrecked my boat.
Well, I'm sure we can help you, Captain
Ahab.
Well, it looks like you haven't had a claim in over 4 years, so you don't have to pay a deductible. That means you saved $500.
$500? I could get an electronic fish finder.
That's the spirit.
Saving you money on boat insurance. Now that's Progressive. Call or click today.
car wash for under $1? Incredible! A car wash and wax for under $1? Impossible! Until now, introducing the Spongetech car washing system, the revolutionary way to wash and wax your car to a professional finish. Spongetech's patented soap infusion process builds the soap and wax right into every fiber of the sponge, revolutionizing the way you clean from now on. And right now, just to get you to see how revolutionary the Spongetech cleaning system is, we'll give you enough Spongetech cleaning sponges for up to 8 car washes and waxes, 2 detailing sponges, and this ultra-absorbent chamois. But wait, there's even more. If you call right now through this special TV offer, we'll triple your order. You'll get enough Spongetech sponges for 24 car washes and waxes for just $14.95.
To order your Spongetech car wash system, call 1-800-844-2198. That's 1-800-844-2198. Call now and we'll triple your order for only $14.95. That's 24 car washes and waxes. Don't delay. Call 1-800-844-2198 now.
Welcome back. We're looking down on Barcelona. We've just seen a terrific sprint finish. David Miller caught almost in sight of it. That was really sad. But the big God of Thunder, Thor Hushovd, ripping the field apart. Let's have a look then at our Cadillac performance highlights. It was a busy old day again for the riders on the Tour de France, and for most of the time it wasn't even pleasant. This was the rollout with the principal leaders of the Tour thus far, led by Fabian Cancellara in yellow, getting the rollout neutralized. Then the flag comes down from Christian Prudhomme. The race is underway.
Every day, as soon as the race starts, the attacks come thick and fast, and also the crashes too. This rider went down pretty hard. This is Fernandez of Team Agri-Tubel, but he was up and running fairly quickly. But I think probably the most important thing, Phil, was the formation of a lead group of 3 riders as this rain started to come down. Stéphane Auger of France, Sylvain Chavanel of France, and of course David Miller of the United Kingdom and Garmin Slipstream. They were joined a little bit later on by a 4th rider, Ahmed Chiruka of Team Euskaltel-Euskadi.
The big prophet of the breakaway was to be Stéphane Auger, who'd be the new king of the mountains tonight. But look at this roundabout. We don't yet know how serious this was. But down on the ground there went Tyler Ferreira. He went over the barrier, in fact, for Garmin Slipstream. And in fact, the most seriously injured, it appears, is there he is, holding his right arm or wrist, is Michael Rogers. And I don't like the look of that. I just hope he's in. We haven't seen him come in, and unfortunately we don't know any more just yet.
Another rider went down hard in that crash was Heinrich Hausler, the man expected to lead out the sprint for Thor Hushovd, and he was on the ground for quite some time. Most of the riders did manage to get up and get themselves back into the main field. But at about 25 kilometers to go, David Miller said, right, I've had enough of this with these group and I'm going to go off alone. And he decided to forge alone and built up a lead at one stage of around about the 1 minute mark, and it would start to look as if he was going to win.
Last climb of the day, which is nearly 5 kilometers long, David Miller was still on his own, being chased by Ahmed Chiruka, who couldn't quite get up with him. But Chiruka was caught by Remy Poriol over the climb, making 2 chasing Miller. Armstrong and Contador's Astana team were chasing everybody, and they were catching everybody except David Miller. A massive crowd in Barcelona as the field swept up the 2 pursuers of Miller.
Well, they were caught in no man's land, and then it was just the whole of the main field trying to chase down David Miller. But in the outskirts of Barcelona, absolute and utter chaos as riders dropped like flies on the left and right-hand side of the road, made slippery by the rainy conditions and the white lines.
Laurens ten Dam of Rabobank, they all seem to be falling off this year in Rabobank, but this was far more serious as far as Tom Bonen was concerned. He was the first to go down in his Belgian champions jersey, and one of the last to get up as well. He's, in fact, as we speak, just this moment crossed the finishing line, so he's lost time today. The finishing line was good for some, and it wasn't good for David Miller. As we approach the right turn here, which takes you up towards the finish, the peloton looks to be about, I don't know, 40-45 riders from that shot, swept him up.
Just at around about the 1 kilometer to go mark, David Miller was back in the main field, but so too were one of the top sprinters in the world and nearly all of the top contenders in the overall classification. The last minute bursts came thick and fast, but the big sprinters waited, and it was Pipo Pozzato who opened up the sprint with about 300 meters to go.
There's Pozzato on the right in the red shorts there, hoping that he would win the stage, but he faded away very fast, and unfortunately it put Ferreira in a bad position to win. He had to take the lead. Thor Hushovd came up from the back and presented us with a strong man's finish. The God of Thunder, stage win in history, number 7.
Well, Armstrong and Cancellara locked together, Phil, in that group, so no change overall.
So that's our Cadillac performance highlights. Now let's have a look at the stage result in full. Hushoff wins in 4 hours 21. Ferreira is second. Rojas from Case de Pon. He's a good sprinter actually. He got third. Cholik was in 4th place. He was the key man for Milram. Pelazzotti, interesting. He got 5th here. Might be in the action tomorrow on the Arcalise as well. Those are the top 5 on the stage. Let's have a look a bit further down. Pizzato made 6th. World champion Balan was in 7th. Cadell Evans, we saw him tackling everybody. He finished in 9th. And the yellow jersey of Fabian Cancellara in 10th. He made sure he was in the right place, that's for sure. I was looking for the name of Lance Armstrong in this lot, but we've got Andrew Sclode and his teammate 11th, Nicholas Roach of Ireland there in 12th, and Andy Schlexie. Fancied riders for long term, making sure they were at the front of the peloton.
Going a little bit further down, Cavendish managed to get himself a few points there, Phil. He must have struggled to get that 16th place. Hincapie using his experience in 18th, and Levi Leipheimer, again, one of the favourites for a good overall place at the end of this race, hanging in there in 20th.
Well, we're not seeing the name of Lance Armstrong. There is Contador in 23rd, but he was definitely in this group, and as you see, no time lost, and indeed no time gained. So there's 0. In this group is Tom Bonan at the back, looking a little bit chagrin himself as he comes up to the finishing line here. Look at his shorts, they're nearly torn off him. Looks okay, physically he looks okay, and another day done in which he wasn't featuring in the finish.
Heinrich Hausler just at the back of that group as well, the man involved in that nasty crash at around about 30 kilometers to go. The magical fountain, this fountain is called, and that was a magical finish to the stage, and unfortunately there wasn't enough magic for David Miller to survive off the front end of the pack in the final kilometers.
Okay, well, we're all up to date. We're now waiting on the podiums and to see the God of Thunder step up there and Cancellara. And if we can grab someone to talk to, we will. So we'll see you again in just a moment.
Geico Power Sports. We feel your passion.
Wow, sweet minivan.
That's minivan A to you.
It's raining!
With the great taste of a McDonald's McCafe Mocha, a better day is possible. Freshly ground espresso, real steamed milk, and decadent chocolate. Go ahead, McCafe your day.
Free hot breakfast. Real value from your friends at Hampton.
Adaptive friction extinguishers? And hypertronic wear resistors? Seriously?
I use one that offers an engine guarantee.
Yeah.
Only Valvoline guarantees your engine up to 300,000 miles. Get Valvoline. Get guaranteed.
Living with foot pain? Finally, the first ever pain-relieving cream for sore, achy feet from Gold Bond. Maximum strength medicine penetrates deep to stop foot pain in its tracks. New Gold Bond pain-relieving foot cream. Finally, fast relief for painful feet.
With arthritis, standing all day is hard on my knees, so I use new Capsaicin Quick Relief Gel with purified capsaicin.
Capsaicin starts working on contact and works at the nerve level, blocking pain signals for hours.
New Capsaicin takes the pain out of arthritis.
Hey, I'm Jake of Body by Jake and founder of Exercise TV. It's time to make the commitment to lose weight and get fit. That's why I created Exercise TV, to give you access to the best workouts from the best fitness trainers. Exercise TV delivers hundreds of workouts every month, so you'll never get bored. If you have digital cable, it's free on demand. And now, Exercise TV takes fitness online with exercisetv.tv, where you can get free workouts, downloads, and exclusive exercise tips. Make the commitment. Your workout is waiting.
Welcome back. Well, I can tell you that Lance Armstrong and Fabian Cancellara now go to the mountains of the Pyrenees tomorrow, equal on time. We're assured of a great battle there, that is for certain. They didn't make any mistakes in the rain, slippery roads here in Barcelona. Tor Hushovd has won. We're waiting for confirmation. Paul Sherwen's had a pen flying all over the commentary box. He thinks that Mark Cavendish has kept his green jersey lead by 1 point. If he's right, I'll buy him a drink tonight, and we'll see it in a moment anyway. But boy, he had to sprint then, didn't he, just to get the low places for a change?
Well, he certainly did. He came across the line in 16th place. This was the chaos at the end, and there you can see Oscar Ferreira was responding to all of the attacks, but right on Oscar Ferreira's wheel in the white jersey all the time, big Tor Hushovd, the god of thunder. When we got to this point, there was an attack on the left-hand side of the road by Pippo Pozzato, almost catching everybody unawares. Rojas is the rider in the black and red jersey, and third position there is for Oscar Ferreira, but as he starts to see the finish, he accelerates and comes over the top, but not good enough to prevent the final kick to the line by big Tor Hushovd.
That was a great win for Tor. He's got some sensational stages because he's won time trials as well in the Tour de France. He is a terrifically strong rider, and that took a very strong man today. And there he is now saluting the crowd. I think you can say he's pretty happy with this, and well he might be, Paul.
Well, it's his 7th win of stages at the Tour de France, and there are the Norwegian flags to celebrate with him, and that was a very good sprint. And he obviously felt at the start of the day, Phil, not having won in Perpignan, this was a little bit of sweet revenge for him.
Yes, there are a lot of Norwegian spectators following this tour. We've seen the flags every day in the south of France, and here we are now in Spain. Tomorrow we will be in Andorra. We've got the mountains. Don't go out and back Tor Hushovd to win tomorrow at the top of the Arcolis. He's just a little bit too heavy for that. Well done, says Bernardino. Come meet the dignitaries of the city of Barcelona, as Tor now shakes all of their hand. That's a big will for Cervelo. Let's have a look at our Hampton Hotel's overall standings. There's confirmation Armstrong was with them. He comes in, he's still separated by nothing at all with Cancellara. Contador 19 seconds back as we go to the mountains. Andries Kloden 23, Leipheimer 31. All those are teammates of Lance Armstrong. You could say they're going into the mountains of Andorra and the Pyrenees in a very, very strong position here. I'm not sure I'd want to be Fabian Cancellara, in fact, as we head to Andorra tomorrow. Further down, Bradley Wiggins will probably slip a little bit in 6th place. Tony Martin, I don't think he'll slip too far. This youngster's a very, very good bike rider indeed. Gustav Larsen and Maxime Montfort. David Miller, sadly, is no longer in the top 10. He got tailed off when he was caught then. That looks like that situation. Hincapie's 12th, Nibali 13th. He was in that move today. Andy Schleck was up there as well. Aymar Zubeldia. David Miller should be appearing soon. There he is. He's gone from 10th to 20th. That's the price you pay when you gamble and it doesn't work out, but he did a lot to earn a lot of friends as well today.
Well, Miller really looking to try and get the glory of an individual stage. This man being very careful, being attentive on the run in towards the finish, making sure he was at the front end of the pack when all of the accidents were happening, and he finished in the same time as Tor Hushovd, the same time as Lance Armstrong, and the majority of the other favourites. So he will go into the mountains tomorrow, Phil, with the yellow jersey on his shoulders, but only with a few seconds advantage over Alberto Contador and 22/100th of a second advantage over Lance Armstrong.
Well, you could say that's mission accomplished so far for Saxo Bank and for Fabian Cancellara. He said before this tour started, the ambition was to win the time trial in Monaco and then hold the lead until he got to the Pyrenees. Well, he's now in the Pyrenees. Who's going to win the battle tomorrow, Paul? It is so finely poised.
It's going to be a huge battle tomorrow. Let's not forget Team Astana of Lance Armstrong, Alberto Contador, Andries Kloden and Levi Leipheimer start the Pyrenean stage in 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th position. There will be fireworks tomorrow, and I would hate to predict who's going to be in yellow tomorrow night.
All right, well, let's go and find out if Paul Sherwen was right. It looks like you were, because there's Mark Cavendish on stage. We calculate that green jersey is his by a single point as he goes to the mountains tomorrow, where he won't be contesting any points for this particular competition. But even so, he looks cool, he's safe. He had to produce that 16th place finish. If it had finished 17th, they'd have probably given the jersey back to Tor Hushovd as the stage winner. And there's the point difference, 106 for Cavendish to 105 for Thor Hushoff. And then a distant Gerald Cholik is 66. Tyler Ferreira crashed today. He's still in 4th place with 54. Cancellara is 5th in 53. His most points coming in the time trial win in Monaco.
Well, that's going to be a great battle, I think, Phil, to follow over the next couple of weeks. Certainly not for the next couple of days, because it will be a different kind of rider we'll be looking at. We're in the mountains for the next 3 days or so. Stefan Ogier is the new leader of the King of the Mountains classification because of his escapade on the roads of Spain this afternoon.
Well, last time he pulled on the polka dot jersey a couple of years ago in 07, he held it for 2 days. I'm willing to bet this will be the only day today.
Unfortunately, there's a massive points at the finish line in Arcali, so probably the rider who crosses the line in first place will be the man who will take the lead in that competition. Tomorrow, the map is not a lot of fun if you're a non-climber or a sprinter like Thor Hushoff and Mark Cavendish, because we leave Barcelona behind in the morning at the start of stage 7, leave the Mediterranean behind us as well, and head inland to the Principality of Andorra. There's a first category climb halfway out on the course of the Serra Seca. That's not really too much to worry about. That, Phil, is an hors d'oeuvre, because what's more important is what the riders face up to as they start to climb across the border and into Andorra, through Andorra la Vieille, and then it's all uphill to a maximum height of 2,240 meters. Look at that at the end. That's where it's all going to happen.
The high spot of the Tour de France this year, and it's possibly the highest mountain you'll ever climb in any Tour de France when you finish at the top. There's some more details. Remember, our live coverage starts earlier tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, as we go into the first big mountains of this year's Tour de France. This is a very, very different Tour de France. Why should it change now? Tomorrow is going to be just as good. From the team here in Barcelona, we'll see you all tomorrow in Andorra. Enjoy the Tour de France with us. Goodbye from everybody for now.
Is it different?